Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to the Spoilers of the Damned podcast, episode number 38. Today, I said that a bit kind of angry there.
38.
Welcome, you guys, to episode number 38. We're here to talk about the serious business of the cat lady.
Super serious.
It's super serial, guys.
Now I'm going to put a joking moment in it and a reference to Manic Mansion. Or is it Maniac Mansion?
There are several dark themes and serial killers in that game. Who all live in a block radius. Like, who knew?
Obviously, because England's full of serial killers.
I'm going to
Did
send
you
you
know?
back to find five evil people who live very close to you for convenience.
Yes.
Well, see, this is what happens when a country has gun control, is that people just stop getting shot so they will turn into psychopaths. That's clearly what I think that the story they were trying to tell in The Cat Lady. And then they realised that it wouldn't sell, so they just made it about depression so they get high reviews.
Also, because we don't have guns, we have to build maces out of dolls' heads and saws.
I need something to keep this in place.
Doll's head.
That works.
And then you look at the item in the description, mace. It's not really a mace, is it? Maces aren't usually serrated this much.
It's like when the weapons in Dead Rising are more believable.
Even Frank West and Chuck Green will be going, it's a bit fucked up.
It's not really a mace, is it?
Why have you got the doll's head on?
That's how you keep the mace together.
Okay.
Duh. Why don't you use duct tape? I didn't have any duct tape. I had a doll's head to choose from. That's it. There was no option, so I slapped it on the mace.
Several corpse paintings and some iron bars, and that was it.
Yeah.
That'd be a strange story for the woman to tell the police, though, wouldn't it? I was saved by a woman calling herself the Cat Lady, and she had this weird weapon that had like a fucking doll's head on it.
Yeah.
They go, actually, yes, Mrs. Mason, yeah, take her away now.
Thinking about it, she might have been the woman that was killed by him 5 minutes ago. Stabbed multiple times, and I saw dead in a padded room as I was being wheeled on my way to the workshop.
Like, yes!
Exactly. This way, please. Put on
I do want to talk about that moment later, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We will get to that, yes.
Yes, so it's been a long time since we recorded, actually. Well over a month.
What? No, it's just last week.
Well, to everybody else, you'll be getting this, I don't know, sometime in February, maybe?
Stop breaking the immersion!
Stop
You're going to ruin it for everybody.
But I would like to say hello to all of the bots and people, definitely people, who have been listening to the podcast. You can reach out and say hello to us. We will probably freak out and report you to the police, but at least we will have confirmation that real people are listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Or that real bots are listening to this podcast.
I hope they're real bots, you know. Maybe it's one of those bots from the those science labs where they're just trying to like they put them on social media instead of like we won't change this one into a Nazi like those like people did on Twitter. We're just going to turn them into a broken mess instead. It's like the series.
Are you guys familiar with It's Lenny?
No.
Oh, you would know. So It's Lenny. If you go to the subreddit r/It's Lenny.
Oh no.
Lenny is a series of recordings by an elderly Australian gentleman that people forward their calls from telemarketers to, and it talks to them and keeps them on the phone for, I think the world record is 56 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
And you get all these telemarketers who's like, hello, I'm from Microsoft, there's a problem with your computer. And Lenny is this kind of doddery old Australian gentleman who's like, I went for one of these last week, I really shouldn't. And could you tell me a bit more? And what was your name again? Like over and over and over again. And I do recommend checking out at least one of the calls because there's this really funny moment where it gets me every time. Where he'll go, excuse me, could you just hold on a moment? And then like you hear all these ducks going, and people on YouTube call it the duck interlude. And there was, in the 56 minutes, the duck interlude happened 3 times. And you hear all these quacks, and then you hear these kind of bangs. And then he comes back, and the quacking stopped. He's like, sorry about that. Could you tell me who you are again? I do recommend
I'm sorry, the ducks have escaped.
Wow.
Yeah, and he likes to talk about his daughters as well, and how they're very proud because they graduated university over and over and over again.
Just keeps telling them. It's like, yes, thank you, sir, but have I told you about my granddaughter? That's great. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah,
that sounds
it's
great.
quite fun.
Wow. So, since it's been a really long time, I'm just going to go into it because it's the only thing in my brain right now. I bought and finished South Park: The Stick of Truth between last time and now. And
Nice.
it has bored a hole in my head and left just filth in there.
It's good. I like the Stick of Truth. I really enjoy it.
I love the game. The game is fun, but it drags you through the shit. Quite literally. All the way, and I just can't believe that someone woke up that morning and thought, you know what, I'm going to create this game, and it's going to be the most offensive thing that we could ever, possibly come up with, until we come up with more offensive things later. And then
Until the next time.
Set a benchmark to aim for next time.
Yeah. Because, I started it, and I didn't even expect to play much. I played it for 15 hours. Off and on. I got up and took the dogs out, and I ordered a pizza and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I returned to South Park. And, I thought the worst that I would ever see was Mr. Slave's summon. When you bring him into the battle, and he just, puts whoever you summoned him on up his ass entirely.
Okay.
Have you played this, Tom?
No, I've seen the first 20 minutes. When it came out, I started watching a Let's Play of it by Jesse Cox, but I stopped after about an hour. Because I figured
good.
if I'm going to enjoy this someday, I'm going to play it. But I've never got around
Really
to it
good.
since.
I want to keep as much details to a minimum because it's better if you get the full shock value.
Okay.
But the thing that I just mentioned was probably 10% of what you experienced.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more worse shit. Way worse, other dimensionally worse shit in the game beyond that point. But I did have a really good time with it, and it reminded me a lot of playing Super Mario RPG, which is one of the, if not the best RPGs of any era, in my opinion. Because one, it's fun to play, an actual fun to play RPG, not just pressing X to advance. Two, the story was serviceable and funny, so it kept you entertained. And then three, there was no grinding. Not really. You could avoid every encounter if you want to, though I'm sure it makes it harder to fight your bosses. But I'm certain after seeing a bunch of JRPG speedruns, people have found ways to get around that. But for the most part, every area is a spot where you can either jump on or jump over or jump around something and continue to travel through the story. And South Park has the same thing, where you can you have a little bow and arrow or something. You can shoot a rubber dart because you're a kid at the enemy, and they'll stun them, so you can run around them if you want to. But you do get experience points for defeating them, but there's a level cap, and the level cap is 15. So,
it's not very high.
Yeah, it's not very high. There's nothing really to shoot for. There's no, as far as I know, no super optional bosses, unless there's the Lost Forest thing. I didn't even go into there, but
I think the only it is a side quest. I think the only one I can think of is I think you fight Al Gore in a warehouse.
I'm not sure if that was a side quest, but if it was,
The way you said that so casually.
Yeah, you fight Al Gore. Yeah,
It's the weirdest thing that happens.
he needs a beating.
He does. I mean, that's not even the weirdest thing in the game.
Not at all. It's so casual too.
Yeah, at least it's a person.
Yeah,
He's alive
for a bit anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, South Park: Stick of Truth might be the most offensive game I've ever seen in my life. No, it is. It absolutely is. Except for Mighty Number 9, but
it's offensive for different reasons.
Yeah, way different reasons. But it's really good, and I'm glad I bought it. And I'm glad I spent that much time into it. It blows my mind how good it was.
Yeah, I played it about 4 years ago now, maybe longer. And I really enjoyed it as well. It was one of those games where I didn't really expect much from it because it's a licensed game anyway.
Yeah.
But it's fun. The story's good. It's actually funny.
Yeah.
Even the battle mechanics, the actual RPG mechanics, the combat system's good. It's simple, but it works. I do really, really want to get the sequel, but I haven't. It's just one of those things I want to get it because I know I'll enjoy it. The combat system looks so much better. I just don't have the time. So much else comes out as
Yeah.
well.
I ended up buying it.
What I've heard when it came out was that people who played the first one tended to prefer the first one rather than the new one.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I mean, there's things like the first one was so good and was so much better than anyone was expecting. It was always going to be really difficult to
follow it up.
To follow. Yeah, it was going to be so difficult. That's the problem.
But I was going to mention
when you reach
that,
the limit.
I'm sure by the time people hear this podcast, it won't be true anymore. But for the sake of you two, it was on sale on the PSN when I bought like the Stick of Truth. Both of them were like bundled together for like $25 total. So yeah, it wasn't really that big of an investment for me, and I didn't expect anything out of it. It's just like I picked it up and I was playing FF15. I was happy playing Final Fantasy 15. Finally starting that game up after 2 years. I haven't even played it much, but I got to my first dungeon. I was getting like the story kind of okay. We're doing some things and getting the battle system down. I'm about to go to bed, but it's only 2 a.m, so I'm gonna try playing this South Park game, which I'm sure won't hold my attention at all. I'll just mess around there until I get to a save point. Then I'll just go to bed.
Yeah, I'll just start it. Yeah,
I'll just start it.
Fell into that trap.
It just got in my brain. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll just take my character half an hour later. Well, I should just play the prologue at least, so I can figure out what the plot is, and then I'll turn it off. Okay, well, I'll just have a little wander around the town, and 5 hours later, oh god, I should really go to sleep.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Is that the sun? I mean, like the sun is up. Not like coming, it's up. The birds have long started having lunch, and it's like I gotta go to work in 2 hours.
Oh shit!
I haven't slept yet. My life is a mess.
I play the game for 30 more minutes.
Yeah, I still gotta get to a save point. So that's what I've been doing. That game and Final Fantasy 12 and 15, but I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about with those two games. I mean, I like them both. And the Final Fantasy 12 remaster was perfect from beginning to end. So if you guys don't have it, and if you want it, I completely recommend it.
Well, that's the thing is I do. I've got 12 remastered, but I just haven't got around to playing it yet. Yeah. Again.
It's okay.
So much more comes out.
It's funny you should talk about having a hole drilled through your head and
nothing
but a single game put in, because that has been my experience for the last 3 weeks. For anyone who didn't know, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. And
don't know if you heard.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. And I've nothing but that game is in my head, right? That's all I can think about at the moment. I'm not going to sound negative, but dedicating time to play the cat lady, because I knew we had to play the cat lady, that was painful.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I did it for the podcast.
Yeah.
When we're done here, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to go in there. I'm going back to the Wild West.
Go back to the West.
But
go back to Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, and see, the funny thing is, I was really lukewarm on it when I first picked it up. I don't know if you guys experienced this, but you go through the kind of the prologue, and there's lots of tutorials, and then you get to your first town, and there are so many mechanics and little meters and bars and things. I kind of felt a bit overwhelmed, and I'm not sure if I'm even enjoying this. I gave it 5 hours, and then I was in, and now I'm totally in, and I'm in the middle of chapter 3. I've stayed spoiler free, which God knows how I managed to do that.
So have I.
Well, I had suspicions about the ending, which I have talked to someone who knows spoilers, and I said, "Am I along the right lines?" And they said, "Yeah." So. But I won't mention those because I don't want to spoil it for anybody else.
Yeah, please don't.
I've only done the first 2 missions.
Oh shit! But I've been doing all of the side stuff, not necessarily the kind of the hunting and fishing and things like that. But for me, these open world games, my favorite thing to do at the beginning. It was the same with Breath of the Wild. It's the same with Fallout. Everything else is just I go for the map limits. I go walking
straight away.
Yeah, and although there are some areas in this game that they're determined for me to not get into, I've been pushing kind of the envelope and going everywhere that I can. For some reason, all of my boats mysteriously spring a leak the second I start rowing towards a certain level of the map, which is curious. I'm not going to call them out on it, but I feel like, they're suspicious holes.
That's them literally just going, don't take the piss now.
Yep, and occasionally, I mean, I'm guessing everyone who plays this game loves their horse. I'm in love with my horse. He's a good boy, or boy.
Yeah.
I'm very attached to my horse.
You
So
miss your
ridiculous.
horse,
Right.
is what you're saying. Like, you don't want to go play the game. You just want to hang out with your horse.
Well, I can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
I make sure he's well fed, and I make sure he's brushed, and I always go to the
Get
stables
down.
and give him like a horse care package, every now and again.
What's his
I-
name?
His name's Plato. He's the bestest horse. I've got his
Are you-
hair like braided. He's got like dreadlock braids,
God.
and he's got like a plaited tail.
Are
He's
you
so cool.
are you worried about the moment where something will happen to him?
I've heard that something might happen to my horse, and I'm determined, if that happens, to make sure I load up my save and take a different horse.
Well, I lost my first good horse that I bought, and it wasn't through a story mission or a cutscene or anything. I was riding back from a mission. Yeah, the mission had ended, and I was back to roam the world again for ages I wanted to. I was on my way back, and I got jumped by the O'Driscolls.
Yeah, they do
About
that.
4 of them started shooting at me, and then 2 others wheeled a wagon out which had a Gatling gun on it. And they kind of tore us
Wow.
to shreds.
That's
And
amazing.
it was just me and my horse got shredded to shit, and then I got shredded to shit. And because I died while it was between the state of being able to revive it, because when it goes down, you cannot, if you've got medicine, you can revive it,
Yeah.
or you can shoot it to put it out of its misery. And if it's in that state, when you die, it dies as well. And I found that out the
Thankfully,
hard
I've
way.
never let that happen.
Yeah. I bought a better horse, so it was alright. So
Well, yeah, for some reason, you start off with a horse, and I got rid of him because I just wasn't feeling it with him. There was no chemistry with him.
we just don't have the same interests, bro.
Yeah, then I
Yeah.
went to the stables and I bought the first best horse you can buy, all the way in chapter 2, I guess.
Mm.
And yeah, it was, he's my boy now.
Boy.
Boy.
One thing I will say about this game is, morality in this game is really interesting, and there have been a couple of moments where I've thought to myself, you are a complete twat, because say for instance there was this one mission, okay, where I had to I can't remember who it was, but I had to go get someone or kill someone or do something, and you get rid of them, and then when you're about to leave, their horse is still standing there.
Yeah.
And in my head, I thought, I can't leave this poor horse here, because something might happen to this poor horse because their owner is dead now. So I got on that horse and I rode it, whistling my horse behind me, to the stables and sold him. So he's off in a nice new home. And I was like,
I did my
it's a
bit
fucking
today.
digital horse, man. What the fuck? But I was like,
That's-
and I wasn't even
that's
doing
really-
it to see the little meter. Everybody in life has a meter. Honor
Yeah.
goes this way, and I didn't even.
It shows up and everyone sees it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about whether it would put something on my meter or not. I was just like, I need to save this horse.
Well, I mean, you sold the horse, right? So you got
Well,
some
yeah,
money out of
but
it? Yeah,
I'm
there you go.
presumably to a loving home, so it's all fine. I don't have to think
Or it
about
was-
it anymore.
Or I
This
went
is part of the
to
plunder.
lunatics. What if it was sold to an O'Driscoll?
Yeah,
They ate the
what
horse
if
then.
that O'Driscoll bought that horse and they formed like a companion union that's so tight that they became your arch rival, and you could have stopped it by
Exactly.
just shooting that horse?
So
What if?
maybe they were the ones that killed my horse, and it's all your fault.
Yeah.
Do you ever
What
think
if?
about
Do you ever think at all?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I haven't thought about that, but now I will think of nothing else until the day I die. So thank you for that.
that? I killed his horse. Ah.
Oh man. But I mean, they do try and kind of force you to, well, not force you to be a bad guy in this game, but there are certain things that they make you do that I was uncomfortable with, because I'm usually, whenever I play a game, I am white hat, super nice, do everything for free kind of player. And,
It's more interesting as well because it's always more difficult.
yeah.
It's like I've always had this conversation with one of my friends that in the Fallout games, when they still had a karma meter, if you were evil, it's just too easy because this person won't give you the thing until you do the thing. You're evil. What's your solution going to be? I kill them and take it. Okay, well that's just cut out. Okay, yeah. Well, it's too easy to get money. It's too easy. Trying to be good in that, and
get money.
you can fuck them over in good ways as well. So sometimes it's just too easy to be like outwardly evil all the time.
It's probably because it's too easy for sure, but like in real life it wouldn't be too easy because you'd get shot and you'd get killed. But in a video game, chances are you can get shot, like take a health drink and heal from it.
I do love.
So you have a bit of like a superpower kind of going on.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can, when you rob a bank in this, because it happens many times. There's no spoilers. Like it happens a lot.
I've only done it once so far, but good to know there's more.
It happens. There's some really good ones as well. I love the fact you can have like this big shootout and you kill like 20, 30 deputies and lawmen, basically like 30, 40 of them. But it's okay if you just go back and pay off your bounty of $100. Like, don't do it again.
Total take $2,000. Pay off your bounty $100. Yeah, that works.
Sorry, Arthur, we can't stay mad at you.
Yeah.
He is quite likable, to be fair. He's a likable character.
He's super likable.
Yeah, I think it's because of the way he's written as well. Is that obviously they're all scoundrels because they're all thieves, but I think I was having a conversation with a few people in my partner as well, and just saying that he knows he's not a good person, but that doesn't mean that he's evil. He's doing things because he feels he has to do them. He doesn't want to do horrible things to people. He just sees it as a necessity to live. But he's not inherently evil. He's not a cackling supervillain.
He does what he does for the camp, and there's a tremendous sense of that. It's kind of like, I've been off and I've done my shit. I come home, I put the money in the box, I buy better things for the camp because the camp.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore because I've upgraded my.
Yeah, I've upgraded everything, so I don't need to anymore.
You get that. Basically, because if you haven't done many missions yet, Chris, once you can start upgrading the camp, save up and upgrade the camp in general is in like the tents, because the second you upgrade it twice, you get fast travel.
Yeah, I've used
Makes
that.
Makes things so much easier. Yeah. The problem is you can't fast travel everywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
But if you need to start a mission, it's like so far away.
Spend on your horse, so you know.
It's true. And watch it shit everywhere.
Just you and Plato having an adventure together.
I know my horse did it while I was having like a really serious conversation with someone that just was there shitting. Like, thank you for that. And a heart-to-heart moment, my friend here, and you're just crapping all over the floor. Thank you for that.
It's a horse. It doesn't know any better. It's like, yo, my bowels. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, I'm better now.
just turn around. There you go. So it's not in camera shot. Brilliant. So it's not crapping.
I love that.
It was symbolic.
That Reddit video I saw. Like there was like so much Reddit posts about Red Dead Redemption 2.
And there's so much to do.
It's ridiculous how I didn't get spoiled at all. Like I just saw a bunch of funny stuff, so that was good.
People have been good with that.
Yeah, thankfully. I mean, it's the first time I've ever been on a social media device, place, whatever, where it's like the first thing that people were doing was not spoiling it for me. You know, I appreciated that, even though I was sorting by new. There seems to be less
of that now.
So
there seems to be a lot less of that stuff now. So I think people are starting to not respect it as much, but people realise that it's more fun to not just like ruin it for everybody else.
But I saw this video where, it's happened in Red Dead Redemption 1 as well. Like you're going down the road and then you see a thing on the side or a person doing a thing on the side. It's sort of like a side adventure. Yeah, you probably already know. It's pretty legendary. Dude's like, he's off his horse. He's at the back of the horse and he's like trying to like help it with his horseshoe or something like that. Going, oh man, what am I gonna do?
Oh,
and then the horse just kicks him. You know, kicks him, knocks him flat, and the horse goes off. Now the player on his horse is just like, goes on over there, turns the horse around, gets off the horse, and just like watches the horse shit on the dude. He gets back on and leaves. It's like shitting right on their balls.
I've seen some like funny compilations of user experiences, and I've seen like some crazy, not in my game, but on YouTube, Like people standing on cliffs just taking in the scenery, and then a stag just like runs straight into them, and they both go flying off.
Have you seen the one where you're going to help a stranger? Because there's always like the things surrounding things that happen. Like someone gets this is a good one actually. If someone approaches you and they've been bitten by a snake, help them. Because then when you go to town, they like will let you buy something for free, basically, by putting it on their tab.
Does anyone know if sucking out the venom actually works? Because every time I've given them a remedy instead.
In real life, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So if someone asks you to...
Well, that's useful for real life, Chris, but what about in the game? That's what's important.
It's more important in real life.
I thought you were talking about
horse
real life.
isn't in real life.
I don't know shit about Red Dead Redemption 2. My bad.
Basically, so you get a lot of Stranger Things like that with the random occurrences. And there's one where a woman asks you for help because the horse has just died and she's like twisted her ankle, so you like take her back to a farm. This one clip, so the guy's walking along, he's on his horse, and then the player looks down and she goes, "Oh, can you help me?" And then just before she can say, like, "Oh, my horse has died," this fucking deer sprints out of nowhere and just like, bam, bam, right through her, and she's dead. And it just runs off. And the player just he like moves the camera around.
Thankfully, it doesn't happen a lot, but there have been a couple of times where I've been riding along and a little grey dot appears on the map, and you hear someone saying something, and you turn around like, "Who the hell is it? Where are they?" And they're just completely gone because someone did walk into them, or a horse ran them over, trampled them, and the event has gone.
I've come across some clan members.
Oh yes, I think 2 so far.
I've had 2. One of them was at night. I could see fire in the trees, so I went to have a little walk, and they were getting ready to initiate someone, and they do it, and then they burn the cross because they're scumbags. And what happens? I don't know if it happened to you, Tom, but the new initiate who's like really nervous. He lights the cross, and then it sets his arm on fire.
Yeah,
and then he's like waving around, and then he sets someone else on fire, and they both burn to death. And I was sat there laughing hysterically.
The people I've seen on YouTube, they always hang back, but you can walk right into that circle, and the guy goes, "So long as you don't do anything, you can just stand there. It's fine." So you can see it all up close.
That's great. I was just watching that, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." So I'm laughing because they deserve it. And I don't know what they call them, the higher ups, like, let's call him the Grand Wizard. So the Grand Wizard approaches me, and he says, "Really?"
Yes.
Oh shit. I knew it all along, apparently.
Yes.
But
Awkward.
he approached me and he's like, "Oh, you're evil. You just sat there and let it happen." So I pistol whipped him in the face, hogtied him. I was like, I don't know what to do with him now. He's hogtied because I could shoot him, but that's boring. So I looked over at the flaming cross on the back again. And the gears start working in my head. I'm like, it's still on fire.
Yep.
And those robes go up really quickly, don't they? It's like, on my shoulder. I'm like, right, so I need to position this right, because right, if I do... great. So I threw him off, and he landed headfirst into the fire, and then I watched him burn to death.
This is somewhat similar,
and then I looted him.
To what happened to me, except... Oh, by the way, in that encounter, I didn't notice because I was so up close, but apparently the people who are on fire, they run away and they fall off a cliff. Because it was dark and I couldn't see, I didn't see that, but apparently that's what happens.
Oh shit, that didn't happen to me.
Like, those guys, if you the ones who run
No,
away...
they just died.
Maybe it's the ones who didn't get on fire, but the ones that run away... do actually run off a cliff and die. So everyone dies except the main guy, and I think I did the same thing as you, except I didn't throw him in the fire, I went and drowned him instead.
Feed him to gators.
Feed the gators.
I've not seen a single gator yet. Although I haven't gotten lucky.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. She did a mission yesterday where you have to walk around in the swamp, in the water, and there's a very big one. But second time I came across some clan members was during the day. They were trying to erect a cross, so obviously for the night's burnings.
Yes, this is the same one I had as well.
And they're struggling, and then you can look at them, and because if you hold down L2 or left trigger if you're playing on Xbox One, and you can select an option to say to them, and I mock them. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And distracts them, and then they one of them slips and they get crushed by them. across. And then the Grand Wizard attacked me. He tried to stab me with a knife, so I shot him underneath the chin. Self-defense. That one really was self-defense. He stabbed me, so I shot him in the face. I will say as well, if you see any random gore at the side of the road, follow the blood.
I've done that.
I've done it for one. Oh, you've completed that? I haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
I don't know where the rest
cool
of them are.
little quests. I mean, it's there aren't many twists and turns in it. It plays out pretty much how you'd imagine, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
I like the fact it was the one I found was clearly a reference to Red Dragon as well.
Oh, was that the
Do you see?
Look up? Oh, right. Do you see? And then
Do you
there's
see?
another one that's look upon my works, as well.
Shit, I need to actually finish that.
There are three of them, and then you put them out together,
only
and
three.
you can work out where to go. Yeah.
Because the thing is, it doesn't tell you where the rest of them are, so that's what's great. So I
I just happened to stumble upon them naturally, which is good.
I've been very unlucky, it seems.
But there's so much to do. I mean, I really like the fact that, because we are on a horror podcast, so I suppose I should try and fit our remit. There are quite a few horror-esque things in this game, more than I expected, actually.
Yeah.
Because you've got the aforementioned serial killer. Trust me, when you get to his house, you'll know it's his house when you look inside. It's that kind of house.
Oh, good. Is it kind of like the alarm bells start ringing as soon as you enter the door? This is
kind of not quite.
I feel uncomfortable.
If you want me to tell you, when Arthur opens the door, he goes, "Oh!" That should give you an idea.
I'm in danger.
Which I thought was neat, because, obviously, in most of these horror games, people act like they haven't got a sense of smell, so it was nice.
Go, hello, is anybody in there? There's skin on the walls. I don't think you should go in. Hello? Have you got a telephone?
Yeah, but
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There's also there are quite a few UFO ones. Apparently there's a Bigfoot, although you don't see him. I don't know if I'm actually spoiling really bad things now or not. I'm not going to spoil anything plot-wise. There's a guy in a cave who thinks he's Satan. Have you met him? He's interesting.
That's cool.
And I love that those little things. It reminded me of Fallout. When you happen upon a vault and you find out it's weird, twisted secrets, and then you're like, okay.
Like the one, what was the one in Fallout 3 where it was just there was lots of things written on the walls with just plungers. There's just plungers everywhere.
But yeah, I must have seen it at some point.
Yeah, it's a shame about Fallout, isn't it? But
are you guys going to play Fallout 70s?
No.
I haven't played Fallout 3 or New Vegas. Not Fallout 3, sorry. I have played Fallout 3. It was Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 that I have not played.
Yeah. Okay. It's like, the thing with me is like, so I was reading how Fallout 76 plays, and I was like, well, you can play offline. I'm like, okay, what's this? No NPCs or character quest givers. No, the game is solely populated by players. And so they've taken everything out that I actually enjoy, and added everything that I didn't want in a Fallout game. So that's nope.
Well, see, my favorite, like we were just talking about, my favorite bits of Fallout are the creepy places you can find, and you find a little note and you read it and you go, oh, that's what happened here. It's fucking crazy. You cannot sustain a full game on just that, and I like that bit. That's my favorite bit, and you would not be able to sustain a full Fallout game on it.
No, that's the thing is as well. Like people keep my friends will ask me oh, you're gonna get it. Like, no, it's not. Doesn't the adding multiplayer elements to something like Fallout is self-defeative, because it's the idea of it's all post-apocalyptic, but you're running around with 50 of your friends.
Yeah, no.
That's what's so much fun about those games is exploring the world on your own.
Yeah.
Because there's so many strange little things to find, and it feels really desolate and empty, and there's lots of dread. And when you find a settlement, you see loads of people. It's a big thing. I remember the first time I found, I came across, is it Rivet City in 3? That's a town on a disused boat, a big frigate, a battleship, the battleship. Wow, it's huge, and it's really cool to see so many people. It's they're trying to live and survive, and the idea of just, I don't know, I just don't like the idea of it at all. And I've seen some gameplay, and it looks like arse. The combat looks boring. VATS just doesn't work apparently. She's like an auto-targeting thing, and you miss more than you hit. And I just don't... I want to play... A game like that, I want to just play and explore the world. I don't want to have to be worried constantly that some dickhead from, like, Bristol is going to just kill me again and again and again. That just doesn't sound like fun to me.
Then, like, sit on your corpse and take all your stuff, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just like,
I have a lot of opinions to weigh in on this because I played a lot of MMOs for a long, long time. And have either of you ever played Ultima Online?
No, but I have heard of it. I heard it was back in the day. It was like one of the more popular ones. I know that much.
Yeah, it was basically like the first real MMO. I mean, besides the MUDs and like the multi-user dungeons, which is what MUDs stand for, and the other text-based multiplayer games, because that's what we had at the time. Ultima Online came out with graphics, so you had a world and all that kind of stuff, and it was like the Wild West. Let's just go ahead and loop that into Red Dead Redemption. It was basically the Wild West of MMOs because you could just kill any player anywhere at any time and take everything they had on their character. Everything.
Jesus.
All their clothes, all their spell regents, their maxed out spell book that has all the spells written down into it, whatever like mastercraft sword they might have had. So it was actually quite lucrative to play a rogue in that game, you know. Or you could still be like a wizard and just like be on your toes at all times. A buddy of mine played it a lot, and he did the whole wizard/swordsman kind of thing, but he also supplemented with explosive potions. And with the way he would play the game is that he would just like shoot a spell called, I think it's like energy vortex. The magic words are corpor. So he goes corpor and he throws the grenade at the same time. They hit at the same time, deal enough damage to kill most other players, unless they have like a really high health total, that kind of thing. So he'd be able to protect himself pretty well. My point is though that like with Fallout 76 having anything similar to that, we're at an age now where everyone has put so much time investment in their own games, and the time investment is more important to us than a lot of things. So like if another player just kills me and takes my stuff in Fallout 76, I'm just gonna quit playing.
Yeah. Also because
I'm just gonna quit playing. Like with Ultima Online, you could put all the stuff you want in the bank. There's no like level requirements on equipment or gear, so you could like make 2 really good swords, put one in the bank, lose one in the battle. Oh well, go back and get the next one. You still have another one. You don't lose your investment really. But in like Fallout 76, I can't imagine that's even true.
No, I can't imagine.
There's going to be level requirements on gear. There's going to be like things you're going to have to like farm or grind for. And if that can be taken from you in a kill, then it's just going to be terrible. Yeah. It's similar to like EVE Online. EVE Online is a more modern incarnation of that, where you can lose a lot, but you can also pay for insurance. So insurance will help you rebound like the cost of your ship that you lost. And also you have... since you're basically a clone, you can just reclone yourself. And the only thing that you lose are all your cybernetic implants that you had in your body at the time of death, which are still expensive.
It's a good idea, but I'll be damned if I'm paying like for more insurance than I already paid for.
Exactly.
What with virtual insurance?
Well, the thing is, like in Ultima Online as well, is that it was in a world that was established with the Ultima games anyway. And it still had it, and because it had NPCs, and because it was a proper MMO as well, it wasn't one of these like constant quasi MMOs like Destiny, these games that go, hey, let's take some elements out of MMOs, but not understand what makes them good.
Yeah, basically.
But then, like with Ultimate, like there were NPCs, and then obviously there were quests. But there was probably because it was an evolving world, but also. Because the type of game it was, I imagine there were role-playing servers as well. So, I mean, that type of game...
the entire game was role-playing.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, you could be a blacksmith and then hold a blacksmith class to real players.
That's great.
To actually teach them how to do the blacksmithing.
Cool.
Like, hand out, like, actual custom-made notepads, notebooks or whatever, that are, like, textbooks so they can have notes in their inventory about where they should go with, like, latitudes and longitudes of like, the best mining locations, all that kind of stuff.
So
like, you could really live out a character. You could be a non-lethal guy.
Yeah.
And if you're in a city and someone is trying to attack you, you can just say guards. Type in guards, enter, and like super god guards will kill that person.
I was gonna say because like if you're like carrying your homework home and like someone sets you on fire, it's like bye homework.
Well, a person set me on fire, so the ergo homework on fire. I couldn't turn in my homework.
See, that's really cool because you could play classes like that. That in turn creates essentially player-made quests, because then if the blacksmith, the player who's playing just blacksmith or trader has to go to other city, they can hire other players and pay them to. Yes. That's really cool. I love stuff. The stuff that's great. That's really that's fluid. That's user generated. A bit simple. Yeah. But that works. I doubt there's anything like that in Fallout, because in Fallout 76,
I doubt it.
I mean, it all just looks like it's just shooty. But I knew that I was right to be worried when all the TV spots and all the trailers for it were nothing but those really lame live action shorts. It's like, they're not showing any gameplay. They are not confident in this.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not confident in this at all.
It's
live action
stuff.
stuff.
You brought up Destiny 2 as well, though, because I just got off a run of Destiny 2, and I'm done with it for a while, for a very long time probably, because the newest expansion came out, and my brother keeps luring me back in, and it's fun to play with my brother for a little while. So, yeah, basically. But I mean, I'll legit say the game is fun to play. It's just that every bullet that leaves your gun is basically a slot machine pull on a loot generator, and that is the only reason to play.
Yeah.
So unless you just want to collect all the guns, which is completely RNG based, so you don't know when you'll get them ever. Yeah. Unless you want to do that, there's no reason to play Destiny 2 endgame. So I realized that, and I just said, you know what? I'm not trying to get light level 600.
It's like what you can do with it. So I've got it. I'm going to go to the Crucible and fight other players.
Yeah, no. Exactly. Why? Yeah. But what's interesting, though, is that cross-referencing that information with how popular Quake 3 was and Unreal Tournament was, where those two games had no slot machine pull. It was literally just shooting people for fun.
Fast-paced as well.
Destiny 2 has shooting people for fun with a slot machine pull added onto it, and that's not fun.
It's not.
For some reason.
Because it's like with like Quake and stuff like that, when it was everyone's on equal footing, so it's all skill based. You feel like it's skill based. If someone beats you in something like Quake, you feel like, well, that guy's just really good at like using the rocket launcher to propel himself to places, or such and such. Whereas Destiny, it just games like that. Like, it's the problem with like any kind of competitive first person shooter that has role playing elements, like with RPG like weapons and stats and that, is that it's like it boils it down to stats. It's like, because then you fight someone, but you might legitimately be a better player than they are, but he has shiny shooty gun that's like ultra rare and armor that's ultra rare. So you have to deal twice as much damage to him, but he only needs to shoot like a certain amount of times, and the skill just kind of goes out the window, and it just becomes a game of numbers. It works in an like a standard fantasy-based MMO or game like that because of the combat system, and it's all about min-maxing and using the correct skills and all of this. So it works in like a World of Warcraft or any other MMO like that, because even though obviously again, if you've got better equipment, you're more likely to win. But if you're shit at playing like a paladin, and you go against someone that's got worse gear than you, you're probably going to lose because you don't know how to play the class. Like if you keep
that's partially true.
So,
I'll have to say it, but like the example of World of Warcraft, and I'm sorry, I know you're just coming out with an example, but I have to go. Actually, with resilience as a stat in World of Warcraft, which literally reduced the amount of damage you received by other players. That was all it did.
Huh.
It made you, even if you were super bad, you can get up to 50% damage reduction from other players. So you would have like twice as long as you need to kill someone, even if they're better like at pressing the buttons. Because like I've had duels like that where a buddy of mine came to the game. He got really into PvP, and I was just playing the game because I like to role play, I like to express a character, I like to do that kind of thing.
Because it's fun.
But that's just not where MMOs are anymore.
Nope.
They aren't for that. No. I didn't know that yet. So I was like, dude, I've been playing this game for years. I'll take my warlock versus your priest. Let's go. And I just couldn't kill him. I pressed the buttons in the right order. I understood what I needed to do. It didn't kill him. And with diminishing returns on crowd control effects, by casting fear, for example, and then at the second time you cast fear, it doesn't affect him very much, and the third time he's immune to it. So it's like, okay, now he just has to stand there and I do bigger number damage than you do, so you died.
I don't remember
this game sucks.
When did they? Was that always in there? The resilience?
Resilience was added in with Burning Crusade.
Okay. That's fair.
I think it was Burning Crusade, but it definitely wasn't in Classic. In Classic, it was actually playing.
It was, yeah, like
for fun.
who's better? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's a huge tangent.
No, that's fine.
But I have been thinking a lot.
Why I don't play online games like that is because I can't win a numbers game. Like I don't put the time or the money in. So I prefer skill games.
Yeah.
But then I fail at those as well.
Yeah, but at least then if you lose, you're like, I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Like, I actually spent a few hours last night playing Overwatch, and I come to and from with Overwatch every month or so. It's not a big deal. But I do play it often, and at least that game doesn't have gear or stats. You just have a character. This is what it does. And if you can do good with that, then you can do good. But even then, it's like, one character can 1 versus 6. You still have to work as a team, all that kind of stuff.
They all complement each other.
I'm not the kind of person to say, like all Fox Final Destination. But you can. There's some but I do prefer it when.
I understand the appeal, though.
I do prefer it when everyone has the same set of tools, roughly, because then it becomes a fairer game.
Yeah.
Unless it's
all about balance.
Like 5 people keep 1 person alive, or that kind of thing. Then it becomes it's not about it's how you work together as opposed to like you being the best, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the one thing that is one of the more frustrating things for me in any kind of game that has competitive multiplayer or PvP or whatever is when it's horribly unbalanced. Because it's like, well, why am I even? So I shouldn't even really be playing this character, this class, because this class is just useless.
Yeah.
What?
You're
That's
just
no fun.
wasting your time.
Yeah, and it's like, no, done.
It's like I jumped off Destiny 2 because I also like playing For Honor. I like playing the Viking side. I have the beard. I have the Vegas Yalmir here. I'm a Viking fan, and I wanted to play that again, and I jumped back in. But I play console, which, I mean, that makes me trash already. But I play console. Yeah, the reason is because console's locked in at 30 frames per second. PC goes to 60 frames per second. Yeah. And when you have a game that determines whether or not you block or parry or get hit by hitting the right button within like a 200 millisecond time frame, then you're basically screwed when you play console. But it wasn't always bad. I understood if I died, I died. It wasn't a big deal. But I paid for the new March and Fire expansion. I played it for like 3 days and then I just quit. I quit For Honor for just indefinitely.
Shit.
Because they did a lot of things to change up like the textures and some sort of rebalancing or whatever, but in the end, light attack spam will always break my defense because I cannot possibly react.
So
and if I do block, they just follow with a guard break, which is a throw, and then I can't guard break counter because I have to do it at this right frame window, which I just cannot see. I mean, I do it to the computer all the time, but against players, it just never works. So I'm always guaranteed to be thrown against a wall, which means I get wall splatted, and then they get to follow up with an attack. And I'm like, you know what? Why did I pay for this? I'm just going to quit.
Yes, I've had that
any
in the
more
past.
time in this crap.
I've had that in the past when you just sit there and you go, why am I playing this?
Yeah.
And like, it was something else on.
One thing I was doing to sort of counterbalance the frame thing was playing as the shaman and having an entire trap loadout. So I'd put on like a flash bomb trap or a bear trap or a nail bomb trap or whatever. Whenever I had those, and I would just like set up like a spider in a web and just wait for them.
Wait for the prey.
And then they would run in, see me, hey, they're gonna go get you, and then they hit the trap. Oh no stamina. That means they can't light attack fast, they can't heavy attack fast, they have no access to their moveset, and I could just maul them. And it works like 80% of the time. So I really enjoyed that. Maybe I gave everyone a bad time, I don't know, but I was having a lot of fun.
You did what you had to do.
I can't even do that. Now I can't even do that anymore because I can't even get that one kill that would give me my first trap so I can start building up.
Fuck.
So yeah, that's when I quit that crap.
Have you ever played a series of games, Chris? I forget the exact name. I'm just going to find it out now. But it's a game made by, I think, Tecmo. And they've done several iterations of it. It's like a game where you trap people. No? Silence. I think it was called Kagero. Kagero Deception is the name that's in my head.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. Like it's a Japanese game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but they ported one of them over here on the PS2, and it's called Trapt, Trapt.
Over there or over here?
In the UK.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, okay.
And the reason I've not actually played it.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, no, I haven't actually played any of them yet, but and I'll link it below. The reason I discovered this series of games, Kagero, and I think it's called Trapt on PS2 over here, Trapt, which is really bad spelling.
Trapt. That was like really hip.
Trapped, yo.
But there's a Scottish comedian called I can't even remember his name now, but he.
That's a weird name.
Yeah, exactly. But he used to do a really lo-fi parody game review show called Consolevania. I think his name's Rob. Now. Rob Florence. Yeah, it came to me. And you can go on YouTube and find Consolevania. I recommend it. It's a bit hit and miss, but mostly it's very funny. And there's this one episode where they reviewed this game for PS2, Trapt. And he's talking about all the traps, like you were just talking about, like, you lay these and lay this, and people run in. You've got to aggro them to get them to come towards you, and they run into them and they get trapped. And then he goes, which is great, but then there's just spike ball, and he just drops this spike ball on like this person from a height, and he's like, there are all these other traps, but why would you use them? Because spike ball, and just like you see this thing drop like 10 times. I'll put a link below for it, and I'll show you guys after the cast. But that's what that reminded me of.
Spike ball.
But just to tie this all together, though, I've been thinking a lot about video games and the state of them, especially because I've chosen the Cat Lady for us to talk about. Because it is a adventure game, but it's also a emotional depression game. So, and I'm just air quoting everything I say now.
It's a game with a message. It's a game with a message.
Give me a message. Oh, 10 out of 10 for depression.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that there's at least a couple situations in the game where it's like there is a bit of puzzle solving, but I know it's not strong. It's definitely weak as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But my thing was, especially after What Remains of Edith Finch, which really just solidified my hate towards new emotional artsy-fartsy games. Which, I mean, the Cat Lady is in that category, but I think it's better than the rest of them.
Just a reminder, we don't have souls because we couldn't comprehend the emotional movingness of Edith Finch. And I will agree with you. I prefer the Cat Lady over Edith Finch.
Yes.
What? What? Emotions? Anyway,
I hate everything.
My point is, like, I began to think about video games as good if they could translate into a board game scenario. So let's go ahead and take Overwatch as an example, right? You put down a board and you have like Monopoly style characters, correct. And then you have like, your dice rolls, and you have your character sheet or your battle cards or whatever that you could easily use to facilitate an actual team-based combat scenario between two groups of people or just two people on a board. What Remains of Edith Finch as a board game would be totally shit.
Well, that's because there's no point. There's no goal.
Exactly. You would put down a board and you'd have Edith Finch, and then you'd have somebody telling you what's going on as you progress Monopoly style through the level, only at the end to find out that there wasn't a point, and then you just put it away and never play it again.
Basically, it'd be like what is it? There was like the Super Mario board game where it's like you just keep rolling the dice.
Yeah, just.
And then you eventually
roll the dice to move forward. Hold W.
Yeah, it's like roll a dice. You got 6. Oh, great. What's that mean? I mean, you move 6 spaces. Oh, cool. Roll again.
And then someone turns around to you and says, "You did it. You got to the end. Well done.
It's good.
This took us 6 years. You paid 30 quid. Well done."
Is that real?
That's thought provoking, right?
Is that a real board game though?
What, Super Mario?
Yeah.
The Super Mario one exists. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's really bad.
I might just add.
James Rolfe covered it once.
I'm super excited because the Resident Evil 2 board game ships next month.
Oh yeah, I remember we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Moons ago.
I'm going to get back into painting miniatures because I used to do Warhammer a bit when I was a kid.
You know, a really easy way to paint miniatures? You just dunk them in the paint.
Whoa, Leon's just blue.
It's his favorite color, right?
It's close enough. 80% of him is blue.
Yeah, a lot of him's blue. Just a bit of white. It's
fine. Just bloop. Perfect. So
I'm the best painter.
but yeah, so I was thinking about that like that with a lot of things lately as far as games go, like having it like with Diablo 3, for example. We had that recent fiasco where don't you guys have phones? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I haven't read any of the articles about it, but I've heard that they announced a version of it or something for phones, and it's caused a bit of a...
I have the floor here then.
kerfuffle.
Okay, so Blizzard had BlizzCon, and they advertised this BlizzCon as the BlizzCon for Diablo fans, which, yeah, that's going to be like, oh shit, new Diablo, you know, and
Which
they
is a
pay
fair
money.
assumption.
Yeah, they pay money to go to this BlizzCon. They fill the auditorium. They sit down, and they're like, "Going to be new Diablo," and they were right. Except it's called Diablo Immortal, and it's only for mobile phones, instead of it being like a Diablo 4 for PC or even for consoles. But even then, like that would be a game probably.
Yeah, probably.
Diablo Immortal is basically just Diablo 3 on your phone because it has the same classes. It has the Necromancer, the Barbarian, the Sorcerer. I mean, the same classes, same character models, same everything. And
It's
then on
another
top of
port.
that, yeah, it's basically a port. And on top of that, Blizzard isn't developing it. A Chinese company is developing it, which means you know it's going to be shit. Sorry,
Okay.
Chinese fans, but I hear a lot of bad things from Chinese gamers about Chinese game companies. So I assume that you're all on board with me here.
It's a fair assumption. Again.
So that's what started that like little meme where a man stood up in the auditorium and he was like, "Is this like an out of season April Fool's joke?" And he said it with a complete straight face, just like, "What are you guys doing?" I don't get the joke.
I want to be head of operations for Diablo or whatever, and just kind of be like, you know what's a really good idea? Get all these people who are really excited about like a kind of a fairly, you know, hardcore game, and get them in a dark room and make them super excited, and then say we're making a phone game, and it's not even us who's making it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the guy on the stage was just like, "No, we're making Diablo Immortal." Like, how do you respond to that, right? And he had like other people come up on stage with him. I assume to support him because he was by himself when I originally saw this.
For protection.
Yeah, they all had guns and like hand grenades. They were ready to throw down. But then somebody else asked, like, "Well, will this game be released on PC at some point, you know, because we just want a PC Diablo." It's a pretty reasonable request considering the other ones are all on PC, and they were all primarily on PC except for Diablo
they came out on
1,
first.
which was on the PlayStation 1. But I hear that was actually a pretty good port.
I've heard good things
And
about
then Diablo 2 was purely PC, and Diablo 3 eventually made its way to consoles, and it was actually pretty good on consoles in my opinion.
that. It was.
But anyway. No, they aren't. But that's sort of a lead up to this point. My point is, like with Diablo 2, for example, Diablo 2 is, if you had it as a board game, would be kind of like almost basically like playing a D&D game, because you just be going from point A to point B, fighting monsters, collecting loot, not collecting all the loot so you can grind it into enchantment powder so you can make better stuff at the blacksmith or whatever. You're doing it because like, I don't need this, so I'm just going to leave this here or whatever, or you can get some gold or whatever. But for the most part, like the challenge comes in from like either speed running it to completion, or speedrunning like first like certain acts, or speedrunning as certain characters, or just setting challenges for yourself. Diablo 3, you can't do that. Diablo 3 is like, okay, you're playing this character, and there will be an infinite gear grind and an infinite difficulty curve. So you're always moving forward. So the board game would be an infinite board game with infinite tiles. And
It would
infinite
never end.
resources. It would never end. Which is
I like to annoy my wife doing this when she's playing a phone game. I say to her, "Oh, you're what are you playing there?" And at the moment, she's playing a game called Klondike, which is kind of like, it's like Farmville for the Wild West, I guess. Okay. And every time I must annoy her. I go, "So, what do you do to win? How do you win the game?" And she's like, "Well, you buy stuff and you build stuff and then you make more stuff. But what do you do to win?" And I feel like that gets lost a lot today now.
It really
These
does.
kinds of games. It's like, what do you do to win?
So what happens at the end?
Yeah.
There's an end?
We didn't
What happens at the
program
end of
an
the
end.
story? Oh no, we haven't ended the story because we need to. It needs to be open-ended for the next like 5 games that we might make.
Yeah, might we make? Are we gonna?
Might finish the
make
story?
5 more games?
Don't know. Oh no, we didn't sell one.
I've just heard we're telling China they can make the games for us. They're going to make the next 4 games.
They make 27 Diablos.
Oh man. But yeah, so like that's the point though, and here's the major problem is that some gamers don't want games to end, and I think like that's just sort of like, I mean, because you have esports, for example, you know, Street Fighter never ends, you just have matches.
Yeah.
But like I have spoken with real life people who are like, well, I don't want to play that game because that game ends. This MMO will never end, so I will always be enjoying it. And it's like, no, you won't, because there's going to be diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Going back to the Brazilians talking about World of Warcraft, there's going to be diminishing returns on your enjoyment for every single game, which still blows me away about speedrunners, but I think they get a spike of joy when they find a new way to do it faster.
Yeah, I think
You know
it's
what I'm
because
saying?
it's
So
like
there's something to come back.
A lot
Yeah,
of
they're
that is
testing
skill based
themselves.
as well, and I think we're
Yeah.
kind of what we're drilling down here to again and again is the difference between skill based, like testing your skill, like Street Fighter. You are testing your skill. You're getting better and better. It doesn't matter if you play 1,000 matches, but if you're playing a story or kind of like a game with quests and things, you want to be able to see the culmination of all those things. And if it's a constantly disappearing horizon that never comes, then you're gonna give up. You're gonna stop playing it. You won't enjoy it as much, like you said, diminishing returns.
Yeah, because after a while you get to a stage where you just think, why am I'm not achieving anything. I'm just getting more numbers. That's why I mean I never finished Final Fantasy 14, but I liked the fact that it was very simple, but they added a semblance of a plot.
Oh yeah,
Because
it's really good plot, by the way.
because it kept you going. It kept pushing you, going, you are working towards this. This is a thing that you are working towards because you have to do this to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I always
so-
get 14 and 13 mixed up. I thought you were talking about 13 for a second.
Yeah.
I was like,
no, we do
sorry,
not speak
isn't that
its
the
name.
game where you have to read everything to know what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Or where I had fans go, Matt, you're just too hard on it. Like, it gets really good 30 hours in.
30 hours in, yeah. I know. I played the game a couple of times. I know it's bad, but I still like it for the gameplay 30 hours
Which is yeah, it's like, but it gets good. Like, I shouldn't have to play that for 30 hours
You
for it to
shouldn't.
get good.
I don't agree at all that you shouldn't.
it's-
You shouldn't have to play that at all.
No,
Sorry.
exactly. But
Sorry,
but yeah,
I
it's like,
detract you.
no, that's fine. But yeah, 14, like, you are working towards something. But when you get these MMOs or these open-ended games where like, oh, but it never ends and there's countless stuff to do, it's like, that's not true.
It's
Because
not
after
true.
a while, you run out of things to do. Like, I don't care how many times people want to say, oh, yeah, but it's like, yeah, but once you have seen everything there is to see, you have finished it, but then you don't have the satisfaction of the game saying, congratulations, you did it.
Yeah.
Um,
You saved
even
the
like,
princess.
yeah,
You
even like,
killed the last Metroid or whatever.
yeah, just like, it's satisfying when you're like, wow, I beat that, or I beat it 100%. Like, it's satisfying.
Yeah.
If like I do understand why people are like, I don't want it to end because then I'm getting so much money out of it. I'm getting my money's worth. Like, but I disagree, because then it's less fun. It's not as good of an experience, and it's not going to be as memorable.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's,
you're not going to go, hey, do you remember that time where we killed 27 like
oh my god.
raiders? Like, yeah, or like when we killed the other raiders, like
That blue color swap magician of the green one that we
yeah,
killed,
like, oh man, it was so good. Instead of like
2 years
saying,
ago.
like, even World of Warcraft, like, at least with that you can go, wow, do you remember when we killed like X enemy, like in that massive raid? Because there's
Yeah.
still like something to work towards to that. But it's just these open-ended ones are just fucking boring.
See, I have a personal philosophy. There's 2 currencies in the world, at least currently. I mean, I can't dictate in the past or the future. Money and time. You know, you can spend time to save money, or you can spend money to save time. And with video games, you spend a lot of time, you know? I mean, so you don't, I mean, the whole time-money dynamic doesn't really work for video games. But the point is, if I'm spending a lot of time doing nothing, like when like talking about like killing 27 raiders or whatever. And Destiny 2, once you hit like a certain light level, it's like nothing can really kill you easily unless you dive into the raid. But for the most part, like your daily quests, your daily bounties, they just get a little easier every time, to the point where it's like I could just stand here and not shoot and just take damage and it won't advance me anywhere. And you know, you guys aren't even a challenge. I don't want to take the raid challenge because that's bullshit level challenge, but there's just nothing else. And a lot of games are gearing up towards that nothing else, because we haven't, as an industry, decided what is good or not yet. But with FF14, because you brought that up, that at least I can like subscribe for a month, finish up the story again, whatever new story there is, unsubscribe if I want to. I generally just leave it running because I like supporting the game anyway. But I could unsubscribe and then just not play until there's more story, and then come back, like reading a comic book. You know, you buy the newest monthly issue.
Exactly.
And it's always a fun game to play, but it doesn't demand that I play every single day by leaving carrots in my face that I never can actually eat. If you know what I'm saying.
No, you're right. I'm just glad that this year we've had two of the biggest games of the year have had. I mean, I know Red Dead Redemption 2 does have a multiplayer mode, which I think is active now. But
well, I'm excited about it, but I think they did a brilliant thing by not releasing them at the same time.
Yeah.
Give the story time room to breathe. Everyone plays the story, loves the story, and then bring the online in a little bit later. That's fine.
It's smart as well, because those that bought it on release as well, by the time the multiplayer goes live, it's like, well, you know how to play the game now.
It breathed new
so
life
now you can.
Into it.
Now here's an extra little thing to do. But I'm just glad that the two of the biggest games of the year had really strong. I mean, I haven't finished Red Dead Redemption 2 yet, so I mean, it could fall apart after halfway point, which is where I am. You know, I've been playing it for like 30 hours, but they've had really strong single player stories. Like obviously, Red Dead Redemption 2, the single player is really strong, and God of War, which was like my favourite game of the year before Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. But that had such a solid, good length story as well. Like, it's a long game.
Story-driven, single-player narrative.
Combat's fun. The characters are good. Like everything about it was great. And it's like, hey, there's no tacked-on multiplayer mode. There's no tacked on this or tacked on that. It was just a really solid, good story.
Because I didn't play it, but doesn't God of War have a kind of like a not a new game plus, but when you're done, you can like go in some new dungeons and get new stuff?
Yeah. There's stuff that you can go during the game. You can go to during the game, but it's very. I would not advise it. I really wouldn't advise it, because some of it is really difficult. But yeah, they've introduced like months ago now, but they introduced a patch where you could play New Game Plus and start with everything. But yeah, there's loads to do in that, and the story was good. And it's like, hey, that was a fun little story. That was a fun romp. No tacked on multiplayer or. You know, it was, and because of that, it didn't. Because there's a problem like with these games when they force multiplayer in. It either means that they focus so much on the single player because that's really what they want to do, that the multiplayer suffers for it and is just kind of tacked on because they didn't really want to do it. Yeah. Or you get examples of no, we have got single player and it's like 4 hours long, and it's rubbish, and it's no like Battlefield 4. Like, fucking cared about that. Yeah. No, there is a single player mode. It's just crap. But we got in there because they feel like it appeases people that complain that there's no single player. And because that's the thing is like in a game like Battlefield, and Battlefield games are fun, multiplayer games are fun. But it's not that I don't like the idea, but when it's just multiplayer only, the multiplayer has to be exceptionally good to justify paying full price for it. Like, it has to be exceptionally good. And Battlefield is good. But which is where we come back to Fallout 76, where it just doesn't look like it's worth full price
it looks
to
like
me.
Trash. It looks like actual Fallout trash. Yeah, like radioactive waste.
Yeah, it looks last gen as well. Like, graphically, it just... And there's no excuse for it, because there's like these huge multiplayer games that look gorgeous. I mean,
how many times have they made Skyrim for things? Like, they put Skyrim on the Alexa. Amazon Alexa, play Skyrim. I wish I had one right now, because then it would like play Skyrim. I hear it's real, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But the point is, like, they put Skyrim on every damn thing.
Yeah.
So everyone who rebought Skyrim on every damn thing, well, that's all the money they're making. So Fallout 76 should be good.
It should be.
It's just not, because it looks like garbage. I've seen a couple of videos where, like, the ghouls are T-posing at you. Because their animations didn't activate, and it was like several ghouls just like coming to get you.
That in a way is more terrifying.
It is terrifying.
That reminds me of
but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that would be. So why is it hovering? I remember once it wasn't Fallout. I think I was playing Borderlands. I was playing Borderlands with two of my friends at one point. I'm sure it was Borderlands, and because we were all playing it online together, and my game glitched, and every enemy was replaced by like a giant red square or like a giant error message or something. So that they wouldn't die. I couldn't kill them. And they were just like fucking home in on me. It was like the game was actually attacking me.
You activated hard mode.
These giant error messages would just like sprint towards me and then just like huddle around me so I couldn't move.
This sounds like a bad Creepypasta or Creepypasta.
I know, right? Like, and then I died.
And then I died in real life.
The man handed me a cartridge, and on it was written Borderlands, but it was written Murder Edition,
and it was on the Mega Drive.
Yeah. What? Borderlands on the Mega Drive? Wow, I can actually play that because that's the only console I have, and I keep hearing good things about Borderlands.
I love those stories when it's like, oh, my game cartridge was haunted, because any real gamer, right, gets like a haunted Sonic or Super Mario. This is what happens, right? This is what happens every time, because they would play it and they go, oh, for fuck, and they turn it off. They would just be annoyed. Like, oh, my game's glitched. Turn it off. Yeah. I'll play something else. My game's glitched. Or what would happen if you? Because that's the thing that I have to, always have to clean my NES games, my Super Nintendo games, because all the connectors and they get dirty. So I don't know what happens with these haunted games. Like, if you clean them, does the ghost get like exorcised? Does it like, get out of here, ghost? And you don't know how it works.
Like Q-tip, holy water.
The other thing with these stories as well is kind of like, I played it and then a load of weird shit happened, and then I continued to play it.
Yeah, like the minute the game breaks the fourth wall and goes, "Hello, Matthew, I'm going to kill you." That's enough of you.
I was a bit freaked out, but I also decided to carry on playing.
Yeah, it's like the stupid character syndrome. And I was like, I know this is bad, but I got to see where this goes.
I used to listen to what was his name? Yuri of Wind on YouTube.
Yeah.
Gaming Mysteries.
Yeah. Yep. Gaming Mysteries, but also he would like read shitty creepypastas out loud. It was fun.
Those were
really,
with
spelling
really
errors and
pronounce all the spelling errors, like run on sentences.
So did you ever see I can't remember the name of the video, but it's a review of a game on Newgrounds called is it like Stick RPG or something? I can't remember what the name of the game is, but it's a joke game where it's just like really easy and it's impossible to lose. And there's this person who wrote this really angry review of it, but it was like full of spelling mistakes and errors, and it's the funniest thing. Like, this guy does a dramatic reading of it, and there's like orchestral music playing behind him. He's like, "You only push one button." And there's one bit right at the end where he like misspells because. So he's like, "I'm even giving this game 1 star. Be a coas." That's it. The voices were pretty good, but that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we went horribly off.
Yeah, we went Roman.
We went Roman in the wasteland.
Oh, by the way, Chris, I'll interject here while I remember. You really like Vikings. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you can find a Viking hat.
What?
Like a helmet.
What?
And I think like a twin-headed axe or something, like also Viking.
I've seen that you can find like a pirate's cutlass.
Yeah, you can get the tricorner hat as well, and
wow.
I think that might be from where I am at the moment.
Immersion.
Well.
Yar, I be a pirate now. It's actually an Assassin's Creed sequel. You wake up and you're an animus, and then Arthur Morgan goes back to the 1800s.
Yeah, that's it. Arthur's like, what the hell? How'd I get it? Where am I?
I would
You've
totally
got to use tarnation. What?
I would-
Tarnation?
I would totally
I don't
play a
even know
game
what
where
that
Arthur
word
Morgan's.
I don't know either.
If they did that in the next Assassin's Creed game, I would totally play it. If they're just like, no, Arthur Morgan's the main character. Oh no, it's the same voice actor. No, it's the character, Arthur Morgan. He's like in every game. I would play that.
But I would definitely say I'm a horse lady. More than a cat lady.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long this podcast's been going, but we're not even on the cat lady yet.
1 hour 15
So, cat lady. It was okay. Anyway, thank you for watching, and
It was a little bit more than okay.
it was alright.
I did choose the cat lady. It's about time we get to the point. I did choose the cat lady because it's one of those indie games that nobody's ever heard of, so I figured it'd be good to approach. But also, I've played it like 3 times, and it wasn't like a game that's hard to beat or skill based, or air quotes. Just I don't know. There was just something a lot about the art design, like some of the horror themes. I'll say I won't say scares really because there aren't a lot of scares exactly. But it's just like the setting and like some of the plot twists and like I just never knew what to expect every time I went to another screen in that game. So I really liked it. I really enjoyed my time spent there. Though I don't know if I'd spend any more time into it because I've seen it all. I've done everything. I'm not going to speed run the cat lady and be on AGDQ.
I hear it gets really good after the first 30 hours.
Felt like 30 hours. No,
I enjoyed the art style a lot.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Based on the credits and the wiki, it's more or less the work of one guy. I forget his name now. It's
Mikhail something.
completely unpronounceable, yeah. But
Michaela.
the fact that this is mostly one guy was impressive. I feel like a lot of his vision comes across.
What it did for me is I mean, I love the fact that it's one guy and it's really cool. He had this vision, but it also is I think a good example of why single person creative having one person in full creative control is sometimes not a good thing. I think some of it needed someone else, just even if it was a second person, to kind of rein him in at times to go, no.
Yeah. Do we need to have a cheeseburger puzzle? Do we?
Oh, because apparently if you put them in for the wrong time, they explode. Apparently he's never had a microwavable burger before because if you put them in for too long, they just get really hot.
I've never had it. I flawlessly complete that cheeseburger puzzle every time.
I think the first time I was like, I'm just going to put it in for like 120 seconds to see what happens.
Don't even need to read it in the inventory, you just know.
No, of course. Actually, I don't think I did the first time. It's just that like when I worked at a gas station, I knew how long to put a cheeseburger in the microwave when I took like a lunch break or whatever. So I was already intimately familiar with cheeseburgers in the microwave.
Wait, it's like if the puzzle was put it in the oven, I'd understand because not only does it explode, it flies out of the microwave.
Puts a cheeseburger in the oven.
It's like it pops, flies out of the microwave, and then you have it in inventory, and it's just this charred black mess. Like, does this man know how microwaves work?
How microwave smacking it with their fucking hands.
It's like, oh yeah, you're just like it's burnt and charred, like what? And now she's distressed, like, oh what? No, spooky. My microwave popped.
As I was mentioning in the last podcast, it has its ups and it definitely has its downs and all that kind of stuff. But and I looked at my Let's Play of it and looked at the time it took because that was like I've already ran the game once and now I'm recording it for the second time, and it was about 5 hours. So I am wrong in it being like a 3-hour game.
Yes,
but we had like a month to put in 5 hours.
Okay, that's
horse business.
That's very
horse
fair.
Business.
Yeah, but I was riding my horse a lot and petting him and stroking him and feeding him. So,
you're a god.
Really, when I set aside 3 hours to play this game,
I will call him George. I'm gonna call my next horse George now.
Yeah.
I know. I'll pet him.
I will never have a next horse.
It will happen.
Oh, so when Plato dies, that's it.
He just runs everywhere.
Yeah, just
Nope.
in his memory. No, I thought it was only possible for dogs to be the good boy, but Plato's the good boy.
It's the bestest boy.
I'm so proud.
So, okay. Anyway, the cat lady. Let's get the cat out of the bag. It's an adventure game. Your faces. Indie adventure game made by one guy named Mikhail something. And I was originally
Mikhail.
intrigued because sorry.
My name is not even Mikhail.
I looked at the wiki earlier. It said something like Mikhail something, but I don't have it up front.
I think that's his second name. I think his first name begins with R. Because the cool credits
Roger.
where I really like the credit sequence where that kind of music starts playing and it goes and like zooms in on like the names and stuff. I thought that was because I'm not trying to belittle the guy, but what it reminded me of is when I used to make games like in RPG Maker and stuff like that when I was a kid. It's kind of like, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded, and that's why when I say it's this one guy's vision, I'm like, props.
I'm
to
being
him because,
artistic.
like, yeah, you're being you. It's cool.
And then you forget to do it for most of the game.
Well, yeah.
And then you bring it back randomly to all other elements.
We're going to talk in a while about the technical issues with this game.
Yeah, it's disjointed.
Technical issues?
Yeah, there are a few technical issues with this game.
I didn't experience any.
It does not like.
You did, even if you were not aware of them. Trust me.
The game does not like being minimized. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, that's true. Recording it was an issue, but once I got that down, I had no problem. But yeah.
We're talking more about the sound, I think, predominantly.
Yes.
I mean, like I'm pretty sure the voices were just recorded poorly. Honestly,
That's a part of it, for sure.
Yeah, because I also played another series of indie adventure games that I will not subject you to because it's not horror really related, but they're better adventure games for sure. The Blackwell series, have you ever heard of those? There's like 5 of them on Steam. It's basically one of those one-man indie development projects. And I think he was pretty successful. He has a great overarching story between all the 5 games. It follows a family of like mediums who can see ghosts or whatever. And the whole point
that
is
sounds like it could be on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, and I like him, and they're shorter than the cat lady. But anyway.
So what you're saying is there's a better, more well-made, shorter game that you could have recommended. I'm joking.
I know you are.
Wadget Eye Games. Yes. I know them.
Okay.
These look good, actually.
Yeah, they're great. I have one of them recorded. You can watch it anytime. And it was the first in the story. So it would be like the prequel, so you can get the story from beginning to end. That's not the point. The point is, though, dude, David something. Dave, God, I can't remember. I used to follow him on Twitter a long time ago.
David Mikhail.
He basically just like ran the studio out of his like bedroom. So whenever they had people coming over to do voice acting, well, they'd sit with like a curtain around trying to minimize as much outside noise as possible, you know, and it sounds like it when you hear the voice recordings. So I hear that, and having had voice recordings done for myself, for my Let's Plays, I just kind of give it a pass. Because honestly, if the guy, if Mikhail R or whatever his name is, if Harvester Games decided to not make the cat lady specifically because he didn't have the most pro recording equipment, then we wouldn't have the cat lady.
And I agree with you. I do agree with you. It didn't
Like
ruin the game
we
for me.
didn't have the cat lady.
It didn't even break immersion for me. It was just, I think it was the first time I actually noticed it was the when you wake up in the hospital, you have a neighbor who is very confused.
My mother.
Yeah, she wants you to say her mother's name before she'll swap wristbands with you.
Oh yeah.
That's not a sentence I thought I'd ever say. But I noticed that as I was talking to her, she was being Skyped in from another country. And it was probably the first time she'd even seen the lines on a piece of paper.
Probably.
And she'd had a really bad day. But it didn't ruin it for me. But I was kind of sitting here thinking, bless. And I think that kind of goes back to that, like the credit sequence. I'm thinking, bless, you know? And I'm not trying to be condescending.
That's his name. Wachowski.
Wachowski.
Just
McChowski?
Machowski, yeah. R. Machowski.
Oh, so it wasn't Mikhail, sorry. R. Machowski.
Yeah.
Like, this is my R. Machowski.
R.J. McCready.
Anyway.
R.J. McCready.
This is my leg, Macha.
I think the problem I had with the audio was like the guy who I can't remember his name, but he was one that did the games you just mentioned. He did a series as well called Ben Jordan, and they were point and click adventure games, and there was voice acting there, and it sounded like he had his friends around and recorded them. But the difference with that, the reason I could forgive that is because at least it was consistent. The problem with the cat lady is that you had David Firth, who was the voice of the pest control guy and his comically over the top wife. David Firth is well known for doing like salad fingers and lots of other really good stuff. He's professional, and you could tell he's professional because his voice like outshone everybody else, and the quality of his mic work outshone everyone else. And the problem was you had some stuff is like, oh, that person sounds okay, and the next person just sounded kind of this. So I was like, I can forgive it, but when everyone it's like so inconsistent, and also some of them like it was either really poorly delivered or there's lots of like mic popping and audio popping. Like you could have just gone back to them and said, "Can you just record this line?"
Yeah,
just record this line.
My only counter to that would be we've all worked with people before, and we've worked with people who just can't get it. And this guy's working probably on a very limited budget, and he's just like, I just need someone else's voice recorded saying this, so it's not just me saying every line in my game.
There was two that really stood out to me. One of them was is in the last chapter, and it was Pauline, who was the woman that had the newborn baby, and you need to do puzzles with her, and the woman they got to do her voice was clearly really nervous, and she was speaking the lines as she was reading them, but she wasn't adding any real punctuation or inflection on it, so she was just literally reading it as though she's reading it from it's like going, Pochettino is thought to prefer to personality watching, and it's like, what? Yeah, slow down, what are you saying? She's like reading it so quick, like a computer. She was reading it like a robot.
Yeah.
And then my other favourite was the person that voiced Eric, which was the husband that we see in the flashback sequence. And I don't think the person that was voicing Eric was a person born in England, because the character is called Eric Ashworth. That's a very British name. He was clearly not. The person clearly had an accent, and they were fighting against their own accent, whilst also trying to put on not upper class but middle class accent, where you feel like he was supposed to be talking like this and very, but instead he had a very strange voice, and instead of saying about, he said about. I am the only one who gets money for this family. I'm just going, every time, like, this is just amazing. It's like, you don't can, Susan.
There was one line from Mitzi. It's when you first meet Mitzi, and she says something like "rat's ass," but she went like "rat's ass," like, and I was like,
"You want to say it again? Do you want to go again?
Yeah, is that the best take?
Do you do that again?"
Yeah,
it's like, no, that's fine.
What's really fun for me is that I don't even know. Like, because there's people in America who sound like complete idiots naturally. I assume there's people in England who sound like complete idiots naturally, and they just got those people to voice these lines.
You're like, oh, this is this cool British game where everyone's normal.
So what about
exactly
Dr. X? Like because the game started off and I was really digging it, and then it kind of goes off the rails for me a bit. But with Dr. X, like. I knew the guy was dodgy immediately because the guy voicing was like, "Hello, Susan. Welcome to my office. Would you like to tell me about yourself?" Because obviously the guy who's been given the lines has been told by Machowski, like, "Oh, you'll play it's Doctor and he's serial killer." He's like, "Oh, so he's creepy, right? I'm gonna do a creepy voice." But at that point in the game, you're not supposed to think he is a serial killer or a creepy murderer.
Yeah.
It'd be like if I'm trying to think of a good example of of a horror movie where it's like, who is the killer? And if like you had that one killer, the entire movie was like, hello. It's like, oh, you're one of the suspects. You might have been like, no, I was innocent. I was walking my dogs. And they just stare at them. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well,
like,
they could refer back to, what was it?
Funny.
God damn, we just watched this movie and it had that the syringe, the formula that brought people back.
Oh, Reanimator.
Yeah, like the doctor who had the ability to, who had the serum. That's a great example of someone who's like, I'm not the killer. Yeah. But what's funny though about Dr. X, so I guess that's his name. When the scene happens that he calls you into the office and you have that long interview.
Oh God.
Long, painful, boring interview. I mean, I like the game, but I'll even say I sat through it twice, and I'll even say that it was
that's what I was saying about like having just a second person working on the script. If it was everything was done by him, like you need someone there to go, right, Machowski's like, it's good, but cut a chunk of that out because some of the dialogue just doesn't fucking stop.
My overall thoughts about the game is that it could have been punchier.
Yeah, it could have been.
I think just to wrap that point up real quick, I almost wonder if it was like an accidental genius for dragging me through that long, boring conversation, so that I would forget that Dr. X is actually a serial killer. So that when you wake up to that scream in the next scene, it's like, oh my God, I am awake now. What the fuck is happening? Because like that was my experience actually, because I started the game, it got to the point where she kills herself, the sleeping pills or whatever, and the cat staring at her, and then she wakes up in what seems to be a purgatory with the wheat fields, and like that whole scene is beautiful to me.
That's a good opening.
Really good.
It's a really good opening. You can tell what you did first.
So and then you have like that brief puzzle solving scenario where you're going through some pretty sketchy areas, and there's like bloody skulls, and you see your own body come out of an ambulance, and you get the key, all that stuff, and then you wake up in the hospital and you're saved. So it's like, wait, did I kill myself? Was I saved? Did I speak to the lady, like the maggot lady, or the lady of maggots, whatever her name was?
Queen of Maggots?
Queen of Maggots?
Queen of
Maggots. Did any of that actually happen? And then it just hits that real low spot with that interview. Like, maybe none of this happened.
Yeah,
maybe I'm just going to take a nap after this dialogue sequence is over. And then it's like, oh, fuck, I'm awake. Whoa, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I must have been killed because I woke up as a corpse in this room, and now I can get out, and now I'm going to fuck that guy up. I'm going to get this doll head and put it on a saw blade on a chair leg or whatever, and make a mace out of this.
I really want to talk about this section of the game, actually.
Go ahead.
So this is a problem I run into in games quite a bit, and I'm not. It's going to sound like I'm trying to give myself a compliment. I'm not. But
go ahead.
Okay, I will then, if you insist. It's this thing where I put a lot more into the game than the game is actually doing. So, like, a key example, I went and saved a fucking horse that doesn't exist, right, in Red Dead, because I imbued it with my own...
I don't remember a horse in this game.
I'll get them in there somewhere.
Damn DLC.
I imbued that I created that moment. That was I made a story, and I played it. So when we got to the scene where she wakes up after she's been stabbed by the creepy doctor, and I will say, although his voice was creepy to begin with, they did turn it up to 11 at that point. He's like, I shall dance for you. But that whole section, so I managed to, without realizing, I managed to do all of the correct things that meant that Liz left a key for me.
Oh yeah, I did too.
I didn't.
So I got to the end of that section while I was exploring, because I walked in and I saw him there, so I backed out and I thought, I'm going to check everywhere before I go. And so I got to the end, I found the key and it opened a door, and I thought, should I leave? Because one of the big things I did at the beginning when you're talking to the Queen of Maggots is she's giving you this task about these 5 people. And you got the choice to either go, yeah, okay, I'll do it, or to be very defiant and say, no, I'll do it my way. Yeah. And I was very defiant. I said, no, I'll do it my way. I refuse. Like, I always try and refuse to kill people unless I have to in a game. Real life's different, of course, but
I kill them all the time.
yeah, exactly.
That's what it sounded like.
That's my default position. So I made this point about how I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to kill. That's what I was thinking in my head when I was saying it. So then I got to that point, and there was a key. I thought, oh, I could leave, and I could probably call the police, and I won't actually have to kill him myself. But then I thought, he's in that room with a woman, and she's in a lot of pain, and he's a monster, and I can make a mace, so I'm going to make a mace, and I'm going to kill him. And so I did. And I wish, because I didn't actually get the chance to finish the game. I was close, but not quite there. So I've read some plot guides and watched the endings and things like that. And there is nothing in there that happens based on that decision at all, other than giving you achievements.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing because that's a glimpse of, to me, that's a glimpse of genius. That's, you could make that matter later, and it just doesn't.
Are you going to be selfless or are you going to be selfish?
Exactly. Because it seems like, and when I say seems like, it is, the endings in this game are all toss of a dime, right at the end, make one decision or the other. All of the stuff before that doesn't really matter at all, apart from a few select things for the best ending. Incidentally, I got really annoyed because I missed one of those things, so... which meant even if I carried on, I wasn't going to get the best or the canon ending anyway. Because talking to Liz is one of those things, but the guy who comes to complain about the cats in the apartment, you're supposed to be non-confrontational and calm him down, and I just told him to fuck off and die.
I don't. Fuck off. She was like, "Fuck off, you ugly bald bastard."
Yeah.
Like, damn. He's like, "I'm gonna kill your cats."
It's like, I'm the cat lady.
Yeah,
Speaking of that, I even found some gravitas. When you kill Dr. X, and you get to choose what you say, and I said, I'm the cat lady. I'm like, motherfuckers, they're gone. I'm the cat lady.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go a really cool direction.
I'm Spirit of Vengeance. And I wanted the game to kind of...
Vengeance.
Yeah, I wanted
the
game...
on fire.
With all my cats.
She leaves a cat at the scene of every crime.
And it somehow relates to the crime, like it's a tabby cat, or it's got a little hat, because he was a fisherman and she killed him with the bait, and this little cat with a hat.
That would be perfect.
I wanted some of that to matter in the end, and none of it matters.
There's a lot. It feels like there's wow, there must be loads of different routes you can take. And then, because I finished it, I got what I would assume is a good ending where we don't blow up horribly.
And you gave Mitzi the gas mask, yeah?
Yeah, and then Mitzi, I mean, you find out she died, but it's like, and then we came to terms with it, and now I've got friends on Facebook, and I've got a blog, and stuff like that. And I was like, that must be the good ending. And I quickly looked up, I was like, it's quick. The only thing that affects the ending is the last two decisions. Fuck you then.
Except the great ending, which requires you to do little bits along the way. But
he said there should be more of that.
Yeah.
More little things.
That's one of the reasons I brought this game to our attention is because of, and this is in no way an attack on Tom, but we did What Remains of Edith Finch, and I used to be that way too, though. I used to really enjoy just stories and games and things. All that stuff was really good, but it's after Telltale's Walking Dead screwed us over with this branching story path that doesn't matter. And how that seems to be how all adventure games are, that say, you can make choices. It's
arbitrary, yeah.
Yeah, it's all arbitrary. I was like, you know what? I mean, I do remember the cat lady being good, though. I kind of want to talk about that, but sort of also cap those games right there.
I think it's a problem with the genre as a whole.
Yeah, it is. They just need to get their head out of their ass and stop telling me, give me a book to read instead of and actually give me things to do. Give me things to do. I want things to do. That's what games are for.
Yeah.
That's why I was Gone Home as a board game would just be me rolling the dice until I get to the attic and I find out it was lesbians the whole time. Have you guys played Gone Home?
I have not played Gone Home.
Oh, you've just reminded me
I spoiled it for you.
It's okay, I know.
You just reminded me of a really... Some of the dialogue in this game is bizarre as well.
Yeah.
There was this one bit where was taking a bath, and Mitzi wants to come in, and she's like, "Oh, I need to come and talk to you." And she's like, the two options were go away. I'm having a bath. Which is like, that's horrible. Or you can come in as long as you promise me that you're not a lesbian. Like,
Yeah.
I clicked it
that
out
was
of
awkward.
curiosity, and she's like, "Oh, you can come in as long as you promise you're not a lesbian." She's like, "I mean, I've got no problem with it or anything." She's like, I think you're projecting there, Mr. Writer. I like gay people, so don't look at me. So it's like, Jesus Christ, because she was like, as long as I want a lesbian looking at my tits, and like, okay, okay then. Awkward.
Yeah.
But,
it was bizarre, but honestly, I think it's actually, to me, it makes a lot of sense, mostly because she didn't use like a hateful slur of some kind. She was
no, she didn't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you're not a lesbian, because if you were a lesbian, that would be awkward because you'd be staring at me and you might want this. I don't know what the hell what you're doing here as my friend anyway.
Yeah, I think the line, especially that kind of keyed me into projecting a bit, was when she says, "Seems like everyone's gay these days." I'm like, oh,
Okay, yeah.
it's like, that's like the person that goes, "Seems like everyone's transgender these days." Not that I've got a problem with it or anything. And why are you bringing it up then?
Right.
Seems like everyone's being attacked and stabbed these days. But so I think the major problem with the games, it starts off really promising. I love
It really does.
I love the dreamlike imagery of the first area. When, especially, I liked the bit where you get like lost in the forest and then you see the weird like gate with like their heads on it and everything. I was like, this is creepy. And there's like the dream logic where you go through one door and then end up somewhere else. It's like, oh, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be stuff like this. And then, like you were saying, you get the bit with psychologist or psychiatrist, and he just goes, oh, it's like, I want to get out of the hospital. I want to get out of this hospital and get back to the cool stuff. And then it turns, I was like, so it's going to be like hunting down these like serial killers. It's like, great. It's like, no, you just kind of luck out. And I like
one
the
literally
one that
comes to the door with flowers.
I was like, are you gonna do anything about this? You gonna call for help or use one of the? No, you're just gonna back up and let him just go.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
And then and it's like you summon the cats and they all kill him.
I didn't like that the most. That was the thing I didn't like that
That
at
was
all.
so fucking lazy. Because it's the fact that it's not even. I was like, oh, she's gonna summon all cats. It's gonna be like this cool scene, and maybe it's gonna like distract him, and then you hit him. Instead, it was like one of them jumps him, and he immediately dies. Like, cats hurt, man, but
he might have been allergic.
yeah, because like it doesn't even like jump at his face. It just like jumps here. Like you'd be like, ah.
Right. I've had a cat jump here, and I was like, hey, buddy. Aw. Yeah.
Exactly. You'd be like, ah. So like if it was a dog. You could be like, summon the dog and choose dog out. But yeah, that one was really that was the laziest one.
That really was lazy.
Because it was just like a dude wearing like a rock. It was like he was dressed like a rocker almost. He had like the punky vest on, and then just like he makes weird noises. Like, it's not very scary.
Yeah, that was what he did last. He was like,
yeah.
This is the
it's almost
the
like
home run. This is the finish. I just want to get this out there and make some money back.
He made the rest of the game went, play it back, went, oh, shit!
He didn't have anyone to voice the guy either, so he just made him silent and just.
He's like, oh god! It's like, and I had them all record all that audio about what happened to her husband and their kid, and it's not in the game. They get attacked by a guy who has flowers and a hammer, and he opens the door somehow.
It's funny you should say that, because I was reading the wiki for the game, and apparently that section was supposed to be more filled out.
Yeah.
That was one of the sections, that
I thought so.
that he cops to not being able to.
Yeah,
fill out.
it felt rushed. Because there's no puzzle. Because it's like there's no puzzle because he tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get this? He's like, the piano. Do the piano and I'll die. I'm wondering. I'm wondering if if he had a chance to flesh it out, if it would have been implied that was her secret admirer or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, and then
there was just no confirmation at all.
He just gets killed by cats.
And she's the cat lady, so it would make sense that it's her grief and depression because of all the shit that happened in her life, and he was the sort of cause of it. Although she kind of like
it could have been really cool.
And
instead he's just a loony with a hammer who then just covers them in duct tape.
I was just holding it. Sling blade. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it was just. Yeah, that I mean, I was. He ran out of ideas for the psychos. Like.
Yeah, he did.
What was the last one as well? Was John one of them? John Davis. He was number 4, wasn't he? So
John Davis was the. He was the one who had his wife, and he kept feeding her, and she's like super fat.
Yeah, that was. That whole again. That bit was just. It was confusing because it was like, oh, you had a conversation with him like the dream world, but how did the game had no rules? I think that was the problem. There were no rules.
Yeah, like it definitely felt like it was made like in 5 sessions.
Yeah, it was like he went.
Like he sat down, had the dream. He was like, "Oh, this is so good."
Yeah.
And then he took like a year off and came back, and I guess I'll finish some more of this. And then
I'll do this. Yeah, and the cool, creepy visionary. What it felt like he's a fan of psychological horror in general, but what it felt like he did was instead of just being purely inspired by it, he lifted things. So he went, "Oh, I like that from this, and I really like that from that." And then, I've got Sprinkler Silent Hill there, and then I really enjoyed that. And then he just went, stitched it together like some kind of monstrosity, and then electrocuted it.
Hill 4 in there, definitely.
Yeah,
like the fact that they're all in this apartment, the fact that there are, they have sacraments in that game, and they're kind of like, what are they called in this? I forget.
Parasites.
Parasites, that's it.
Yeah,
Same
it
kind
felt.
of thing.
It was a game of really good ideas. And then it either doesn't go anywhere with them or just completely forgets about them. Like the whole stuff with the candles.
Yeah, the candle. I remember I was like, which one do I snuff out? Like, any one of these is a person?
Yeah, it was weird.
That one, and then you see somebody die. But it doesn't matter which one you do, that same person dies.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I figured. I mean, I didn't even watch it a second time through, but I was like, I bet it plays, because you played enough games to go, it'll just play the same one no matter what I blow out, so...
Yeah, it was kind of lame as well, because the first one's like, oh my god, it's someone committing suicide. I was like, wow, that's dark. And then the second one, it's just someone that's like really fucking old that dies in hospital.
Yeah. Like,
third one's a car crash. Yeah, it's like, the third one's like a car crash that's not that violent. But yeah, like it was like lots of really cool things set up. Because I thought that what it was going to be was like the shack with why it's hinted at the end of it was like, oh, she was depression. I thought it was going to be hinted at that was going to be like the shed was going to be like this, almost like this hub, this little hub world. So it's like you go back and then you do this and you do the thing and and the thing lights up. Kind of like in I don't know, like Shadow of the Colossus, where you have that one area of all the things, and you do one thing, and you go back, and it explodes, and
especially because that's the first section you really move through as well. You feel like you're being introduced to this. Oh, we're in this space now because you killed yourself, and you're going to go back and do these things, but you always return here.
Yeah, it's like here's this really interesting like supernatural character, and then she's not really in the game at all. And then there's the thing where there's like the 2 doors, and it's like these are the 2 doors, and one of them lies and one of them tells the truth. I'm like.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, well...
Did you get that right, by the way?
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, okay. I got it right because I've seen Labyrinth, but...
Yeah, same.
What was the
reward is really shit. Well, you always ask whichever one you ask, what the other one would tell you to do, and kind of, through logic, that cancels it out, so it's always going to be that... Whatever door they point to, both the truth and the lie will point to the same door, and it will be the wrong door. So.
Oh, I see. But
you just walk in and there's a vase of flowers, and then they turn to dust, and then you walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And
it's artsy fartsy, but the whole flower allergy or something like that her baby
flowers. I hate flowers.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's just...
It's a reward. Like that's whatever.
The other thing is that I did like this game. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you brought it to my attention, and I'm glad that I experienced
I played it all the way through.
But and I feel because it is a sort of a game with a message, there is a lot of not necessarily unnecessary, but certainly gratuitous misery in this game.
Oh yeah, it wallows.
Because
it wallows a bit too much.
I was trying to work it out while I was sitting there, so I was like, Mitzi came in, and I was like, okay, so you've got cancer, and your boyfriend killed himself.
Yeah.
I had a husband who killed himself, and if you talk to Dr. X about your past, I ended up telling him that my dad died of cancer, and my mum killed herself because he had cancer.
We're laughing about it, by the way.
I had a nice one. I was like, oh, it was pretty good. Oh, my mum died when she was young, like, but it was fine.
Fuck's sake.
And she's like,
yeah, but it's far worse than like Walking Dead, where everything is bad all the time and no one can ever be safe, even if it seems like they should be perfectly safe in a prison complex.
I don't know.
Some asshole's gonna bring a tank and he's gonna run shit over and make it all bad again. It's like, you know what?
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't want to live in this city. Everyone's a murderer, or that's some psychopath or something.
Oh, is there even? I've never seen it before in my life. But you have to like put money into like an electrical thing so you can turn electricity onto your apartment. That's a thing. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen one either, but I know it's a thing.
No, I mean when I lived with when I was really young and lived in a flat with my mum, we had like a electric meter, but we didn't put like physical money into it. I know that was a thing like years ago, but
you would go like down the shop to put money on like a key or
on
like
stick,
a
yeah,
stick
and
or
you
something.
stick it in.
Yeah.
Put it on. I've never personally seen one we actually put money in. I know they existed, but they existed like a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a shitty rundown apartment complex anyway that probably hasn't updated or doesn't have any intention to. Just gonna run it into the dirt. So yeah. But nobody brought up the super dopey babysitter yet. Do you remember? Yeah.
God.
Boy, I'm the babysitter.
I'm real.
And
you
can just lie to her, and she's like, I don't know.
That was, again, I think that was just like really lame direction. It was lame direction from him, because like her voice does not fit what is coming out of her mouth, or how she looks. She should have sounded ditzy.
Yeah.
Instead, she sounded like that impression of like a bored teenager, like, hello, like, oh, stupid children, like, yeah, my name's like Clarissa, and I like ponies, and you know, it was that kind of thing.
Who doesn't like ponies, right? Plato. Anyway,
she should have just been a bit more airheady, really. You know, a bit more. You know, instead she's like, hello, my name's Tina. You know, it shouldn't have been like that.
Yeah,
it's like
the
there's
reason I brought that up though is like the game is
like,
wallowing in misery until like that strange attempt at comedy. It's like, you're laughing this for a bit.
Because.
And I'm like, what? Why? What are you doing? I'm in the misery mode here. Why are you bringing me this clown?
Yeah, like, I'm on the hunt for a guy that makes people commit suicide on the internet, and it's like, here's my like slapstick humor. It'd be like if, because it comes like so far at the end, like there's not really that much comedy at all in the game because it's wallowing in its own self-pity. And then it'd be like if all of a sudden it turned out she was in the same block of flats as the characters from Bottom. You know, if like Richie and Eddie walk past fighting each other, it's like, what's
that kind of flat as well, though.
Yeah, but it's just
grungy.
Like, exactly, like, because she comes back and like, look, I've already told you, go away, and she's still like, oh, I thought I'd the wrong one. Like, what? And then they do it again when all the lights come out, and then she comes back again. Like, what are you doing? Like, again, that's why it feels like it was, like you said, it was made over the course of a long time, and he kept coming back to it, so he kept losing not the vision so much, but like the atmosphere and the ambience is all over the place.
Right.
And when I was saying about how it felt like he was borrowing a lot of things from different horror fiction and psychological stuff that he liked, same thing with the music, because he's obviously turned to the guy. I mean, the music's decent. I don't hate it, but he's obviously turned around to the guy and said, "Oh, I want something like this." And instead of making something like that, the guy just went, "Oh, I'll just make a Nine Inch Nails song." Because there's one song's like, that just sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song. Or he's just listened to the Silent Hill soundtrack and gone, right, yeah, I'm going to basically make that song again. And I liked the music for the most part, but there were moments where it just like was really, just like it wasn't fitting at all. Like it was like kind of wacky and poppy and techno, and like this is a flashback about when she had an argument with her husband and then their daughter died. Why is it like boop, 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 boop? Like what do you do to stop that? And also I started to chuckle as well at the constant dun, like the orchestral piano sting over fucking everything. Like the electricity goes out and it goes dun. Oh, are you scared yet? Okay, that's fine. You walk down the hallway, dun. Oh, you scared yet?
Or like when she bumps into Mr. X on the way out of the hospital, like for us, the viewer, like the screen is moving and then Mr. X is like right here, and then you're like, oh shit.
Thing, like,
but for Susan Ashworth, she sees Mr. X the whole time.
Like, what's it like? He's just stood there like, she's suit. Oh, there you are. Didn't see you there.
Right. But like the real treasure of this game though is the art style to me, because it's the only thing that really kept me wanting to see more. Cool. I really like the art style. It's like it's the one constant that makes it worth the adventure at all. So I definitely wanted to share that because like it seems to be like just purely based on how Monty Python had their strange little like paper doll things. It looked a lot like that. So I assumed it was like a British kind of thing or something. Cause I've never seen it anywhere else.
The whole thing looked like photo collage, for the most part. Like, when you see buildings and stuff, it looks like a load of stuff that's just put together. And I really did like that. And I think I appreciate it on that level. It's kind of like, it's one guy throwing this shit together, I think it was, for the most part, I mean, it felt like, even though there were different kind of locations and stuff, that they all felt kind of there was nothing amazingly jarring about the art style, not compared to things like the music and that kind of thing.
One thing I did like too, though, like you could, like we were talking about like the graphics and stuff or whatever. There's a point, and I saw it like the third time through because I was like playing this game too damn much. But there's a point where Susan goes to play on the piano, and like here's the stool. Here's Susan. She's like, walk, 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 walk. And then, like, the stool just clips behind her, and that's how she sits down. She doesn't actually, like, animate down. She just, like, now it's behind her now. And now it's, like, she's sitting down.
And that could have been
I
solved
love that, though, because I didn't see it the first time or the second time. The third time, I was like, hey, I see that shit. I see what you're doing there. So clever.
The thing is, like, they could have solved it as well as if the seat was always in the foreground.
So, yeah.
But then again, this is a game where if you don't cook a burger, you go into despair. That was one thing I actually forgot to mention. Like, again, another thing where it felt like it started as an idea and then was just dropped was there's that one moment when you get home from the hospital and then you're like, oh, if you do bad things, she'll go into despair and have a breakdown. But if you do good things, then she'll feel good. I was like, oh, cool, so this is going to be throughout the game. So we're going to have, like, some... idiot over here, me thinking, oh, so this is kind of going to do, like, an Eternal Darkness type thing, where if you're in more despair, like, weird things will happen, you'll see shit, and, you've got to try and keep it up and level. And it's like, no, just one bit. Nope,
just the cheeseburger bit, really, and the coffee.
And both times, because my save file didn't save, I had to do it twice, and both times she goes into despair and punches a mirror and cries herself to sleep. So I was like, cool.
Yes,
really?
All that hard work I did.
She just punches a mirror and cries herself to sleep?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like the one thing I didn't see in the game, because I know how to cook a burger in a microwave.
Yeah.
Well, no, that happens anyway, even if you do the burger right?
Yeah. But it's like
she has like a breakdown.
All the way. Yeah, I don't know if you can...
Or maybe it's because I was really angry with the guy at the door.
Probably. I told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
But then again, I wouldn't go into despair for that. I'd be like, fucking prick.
Yeah.
And I go and just like watch TV or something. Although she's like, I hate everything.
I will say, even though, there were kind of moments in this game where I felt like it was just being added to pad the thing out, and without getting too heavy, I mean, I've had issues with things like depression in my life, and that whole kind of the way she moves from thing to thing, she looks out the window for a bit, then she moves across to the mirror, and she just moves around and does a load of stuff. And at first I thought, oh god, you're wasting my time with this. But then I thought, actually, depression sometimes could be like that. It's just you don't know what to do. Like you move
Everything's
from thing
miserable.
to thing.
Yeah. You don't get enjoyment out of anything. You're like,
yeah. And I
feel watch TV. No.
And I feel like this game makes some really good, for a game with a message. It kind of, at times the message is good, but other times it just gets, lost in You do the thing where you think, okay, so the Queen of Maggots obviously represents her depression and everything that she's kind of lived under, this cloud. Except she must actually exist because she physically came back to life. And the first time you could kind of say, oh, it's because she was on a drug trip because she overdosed and she was found and it was lucky.
Subconscious thing,
then there was the kind of the moment where she died on purpose because she knew she could take the hit.
Yeah.
With the gas mask and stuff. It's kind of like, no, you take the gas mask because I'm just going to come back to life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So unless it's
also
kind
the
of
point
like
when she shot herself to restore her eyes.
Yeah. So it's like, what the most you could say that the only kind of accomplice in that sense to the person who sees the same thing she does is Mitzi. So you could argue that maybe it's like a folie à deux, like madness of those two. You could still come up with a theory as to why, but it's kind of hard to because of the scrape she gets out of and the way she gets out of them. So it's like you're trying to make a statement about depression and how you conquer it by saying, no, I'm bigger than you and I don't have to do what you say. And all of that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of lost a bit in all of the other stuff.
Yeah, but as
like
soon
what
as
Matt was
you...
saying, little of this, little of that, little of this. I don't know how to tie it together, but I'm going to mush it until it's all one thing. Yeah.
You see, the problem with that as well is as soon as you do this thing about depression, all that, blah, 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 as soon as you do something like, oh, was it just her subconscious with it, but deep down she really does want to keep fighting, the moment you go, no, it is supernatural, you can't really have a fucking message anymore. Because basically it's saying, if you got depression, try and kill yourself because it'll give you superpowers. And so...
Be right back.
Yeah, return to Luke Cage.
I'm just consulting with our lawyers on the podcast. They say that
basically I'm telling you to do it, and
please don't do what
fine.
Matt says.
Give me your money first. That means your will, and I'll save you. The moment you actually, because it'd been really cool, you see, if it had all this, and then you were questioning all the time, like, was it real? Does she actually keep coming back to life? Is she, is that an actual superhuman thing, or is her brain just genuinely a bit fucked because she took a shitload of chemicals and was dead for like so many minutes? And you that would be more interesting, and I think the impact and the power behind the whole thing about depression would be, I think, it'd be better and less heavy-handed. Because I think sometimes, because I mean, I haven't suffered with like super depression like that, like severe depression, but my mum's had it. I've experienced it a few times. Like when my Amy's really bad, one of the symptoms is depression. Thank you for that. And sometimes it came across, I don't want to say patronising, but
I know what you mean. It's kind of...
It felt like a bit like, there. It's like, see, it's all fine. It didn't. It seemed to be. I mean, maybe he suffered with it. I don't know, because everyone suffers with it differently. But it felt like a great deal of misunderstanding. I know. I appreciate that someone was really ballsy to make a game like that, because it was. But you can't. It's difficult to do that and have full on supernatural elements like that.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to say here is that, there is an element of genuineness, but it can't make that whole jump like something. I don't know.
We'll liken it to Silent Hill 2, as lots of things always do. That is about, the whole game is about dealing with grief, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, like, you could say the supernatural elements in it, but the thing is that it's all about the character being taught a lesson and come to terms with what he did. And then the decision, like what you do throughout the game, determines whether you are forgiven, whether his depression takes over with his grief, because he's grief-ridden and he's depressed as shit, and he kills himself if you get one of the bad endings.
Yeah.
That handles it differently and better because it knows where it's going.
Yeah.
It knows where it's going as well.
It knows where it's going.
Yeah, and it is about coming to terms with it. It's not, I'm going to give you superpowers so you can kill serial killers.
Yeah. Like, when I saw the original trailer for the game, I saw that, superpowers, kill serial killers, you're a cat lady, you're a badass, like, mid-40s lady with a shotgun and a gas mask. I was like, you know what? Let's play this motherfucker right
this
here.
looks fun.
I will say props to making me, think, because when I delivered that line and said, yeah, I'm the cat lady.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
I was like, I was aware of the fact that I'm playing as, like, a mid-40s, woman, and I was like, this is good, the room for characters like this, but again, that feels like squandered potential.
It really was,
like a lot of it,
except for that art. The art was so good.
The art was great.
Every time, every room was like, what am I looking at here? And then there's like those times where, like, I think in the hospital you have that massive beating heart or something.
Yeah, it was really cool. One more shot of that.
It's like, whoa,
one shot of that.
What the fuck, and then all that stuff, so good. Like,
Sorry.
It's definitely, I still think it's worth the 5 hours to go through it once.
Definitely once.
Absolutely.
So.
Sorry, it's just that there was a really adventure gamey thing that made me laugh in the hospital. It's like, I walked up to the wall and it was a box of gloves and it says, take one glove, take a load of gloves.
Yeah,
and I was like,
them.
I'm going to take a load of gloves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, don't give me the option, game.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm supposed to do.
It's like, do you want one gun or 20 guns?
Get me a wheelbarrow. We got all this.
Never ask a gamer how much of something they want, because they will take everything.
That actually reminds me a little bit of when I was in the hospital, and you have to get the armband, and you use the armband to basically get out of the hospital. I mean, full disclosure, I didn't replay it. I was playing South Park. I was playing Destiny 2. And I've already played the game.
You played it
times.
once, it's enough.
I don't need to do it again. Anyway, point is... that armband never left my inventory. I don't know how, and that's probably one of the technical issues that I didn't notice.
Oh,
but it was like, I kept trying to use the armband on stuff, and it's like, what do I do this for? I don't know, you still have it.
Do you want an armband?
Put it in the coffee, I don't know. Is this how you cook the cheeseburger correctly? I don't understand why you still have this.
Would you like this? Oh, you solved the puzzle. Best ending.
Best ending, you've just got to hold on to it the whole game.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Don't let go.
Yeah. You wake up and you're still holding it like, yes, this is my artifact.
That's the ending. She's looking at it going, thank you, Mrs. Burton. You crazy woman.
So why does that lady walk around with a hospital bracelet everywhere she goes and she's not in the hospital? Should we call the police on her?
Just like crosses out her name, just writes, the cat lady. She wears it and it's like a superhero costume. Again, about things not dropped, I just remembered something as well. We were talking about the Queen of Maggots.
Yeah.
She's not in the game enough.
Misused. She shows
she's not in the game enough.
She's never there again.
I agree.
And there's that one moment where it's heavily implied that she talks to Mitzi for one scene. And that's it. That's it. That's it. Like, she's behind Mitzi and Susan starts freaking out and goes, oh no, you're one of them, blah 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 blah. And it makes you go through every dialogue option, which is annoying. I hate that in any kind of adventure game, point and click, RPG. Otherwise, it's like, don't give me all these options and then make me go through all of them. Just make me go through all of them. Just have the dialogue. Just because why am I doing this? Because at times it makes dialogue not make any sense. But there's a bit where she stood behind her and she freaks out, and then Mitzi turns around and then talks to her. And then I'm like, oh wow, are we gonna do like and they're gonna waiting for it to come up. No. Right, we're just going to talk about. Okay, cool. So, it's. I think that's a perfect example of good ideas and where he, you can't be too hard on him because, like you're saying, it's one person.
Right.
But I mean, I know he's made other games.
He actually made a prequel to this game.
Yeah, is that where you play as Mr. Davis by any chance?
Yep.
Because it looks like him. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that. I mean, he's probably improved because no one's, I'm not.
No.
Well, I'm not that perfect. No, I'm not. I'm not perfect. but
you are so perfect. No.
I would hope that. I do hope that because I want to play his other games, see what they like. But I would hope that he's learnt from it and he's gotten better because there's serious potential in the vision he had and the art style and all that. It would be a massive disappointment if he doesn't improve and it continues to just be more games like this, but really frustrating because they're so close.
Yeah.
So close to being great. So very close.
So wait, he made that game after this one, but it's a prequel. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe
Down.
Because
So.
I'd be interested to see what he
Downfall.
did differently and if he did learn anything from this one.
I don't know. I remember reading about it being Downfall was made before the Cat Lady, and Downfall on Steam is actually a remastered version of the original game.
Yes.
Or something like that.
I've got it here. Harvester Games remake sees Joe Davis searching for his wife in Quiet Haven Hotel. Not everything is as it seems, not even with Joe. So he basically made a point-and-click adventure game of Silent Hill 2. Cool, great. So we can wrap it up. It's all good. No, it's pretty good. That's good. I like the fact that
I sympathize. I sympathize heavily with his development because even with doing Let's Plays, if I put enough of a gap of time between one recording and another, I forgot everything about my atmosphere, my trivia, whatever I shared in the Let's Play of the previous video. I don't remember any of it. And I don't keep notes because that's boring. So when I go to the next video, if I go to the next video, because I have canceled Let's Plays on this account before, then I'm just starting over again. So for him developing this game, I can imagine that he just either didn't keep good notes, or even if he did keep good notes, the original energy that he had when he wrote those notes just didn't transfer into the words that he wrote down. So when you reread it, it's like, why the fuck did I write that?
Well, yeah, because I would imagine if you were playing through this game a lot, say you were developing this game, you would play through it a lot to check everything works and that things flow nicely and everything. And surely at that point you would realize, hey, wait a minute, there should be the option to, kind of speed this up a bit, to kind of streamline things, because you wouldn't sit there and play this 10 times, testing it and then go, yep, it's fine.
Yeah.
Unless you do. Unless the person just does that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was he play tested it himself.
It's perfect.
And it was fine.
I can't make it any better.
It's like those when Red Letter Media discusses those Neil Breen movies. He had to have seen his own fucking movies.
Yeah. Speaking of
and those movies are god awful.
Yeah, speaking of Neil Breen, I know it's going off.
It's okay. Cat Lady still a thumb up from me, so whatever. Moving on.
I enjoyed it.
I am actually seeing a screening of Neil Breen's most recent movie tomorrow in London, and Neil Breen will be there.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's what's it called? I can't remember the name of the film. You've seen the trailer though. It's the one where there's two of him, and one of them's got a hilarious fake beard on.
Oh my God.
Going, who am I? What am I? And it's great CG, great explosions and after effects.
I think I saw the trailer for this. Is
Yeah,
it
it
like his
looks
brother
amazing.
or something? He's meant to be his...
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Who am I? What am I?
That looks
so I'm seeing that tomorrow.
glorious. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, those are good. So the guy who made Cat Lady, I'll probably get around to playing Downfall at some point. He has a new game coming out next year called Lorelei. I don't know how to pronounce it. Art style looks very similar, but there's a lot more colour in it, which it looks smoother, looks more refined.
Advancement, progression.
That's cool. The synopsis about the game. Lorelei will never forget that day. The little she had, it was taken away. Her whole world disintegrated. She never really had a chance, but Lorelei, oh fucking hell. refuse to give up. She will fight, and not even death will stop her from getting it all back. Sounds kind of similar.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It could be good.
I mean, if people can sit through a Neil Breen movie on purpose, people can play a cat lady game on purpose.
I'm going to be laughing my ass off tomorrow night. It's gonna
like,
be
ask
amazing.
him why. Just go, like, what are you doing?
I'm just going to say, Neil, come on, man, you must know.
Yeah. Is this on purpose?
I hope he knows.
What the fuck are you on?
You're just
Because
looking for cracks in the facade that you could.
Like, because seriously, if he is being, like, downright serious, and he's like, no, my movies are good.
Run
like,
away.
That's sadder. That's, like, somehow tragic.
Yeah, that's
If
way
he's, like,
tragic.
Because it's like when you see those interviews with the guy that directed Birdemic, and you watch these interviews and he's like, no, it's a scary movie, and he's being like dead serious. No one's that good of an actor, and it's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
His name is
Just
like James.
Just give him a
Nguyen or
hug and
something.
be like,
Yeah. At least with like Tommy Wiseau, he finally caved and went, yeah, my movie's shit, but I'm gonna make a load of money from it. And you go, yeah,
oh, he
okay,
did?
fair enough.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But Neil Breen like just comes across like he's like, no, my movies are good. Like, you're always Jesus.
It's thought-provoking.
Wow.
And now there's two Jesus.
It is James Nguyen.
Eyes on Breen. Eyes on
That's,
Breen. Was
that's
it?
quiz level knowledge.
Was it?
Birdemic was directed by James Nguyen.
James Nguyen, you crazy bastard. Was it that Red Alert Media came out with in one of the more recent videos where they did a Neil Breen movie, and it was Eyes on Breen because they think he's actually crazy.
Oh, yeah,
They think he might actually be. He might snap one day. He's like,
Yeah.
when the president is in the same state as him, he's like, the Secret Service just like, keep eyes on Breen.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Because like always movies about like overthrowing the system and murdering people.
Yeah.
Like,
Or like that one scene where it's like four like bankers just talking about how we rip people off and it's pretty awesome, huh? And then Neil Breen walks up like, don't you guys think that that's bad?
it is bad. And they shoot themselves. There's that one where he goes, today I would like to announce I'm stepping down as chairman of the bank. It's like, of the bank. The bank of the world.
Yeah.
The
It owns
bank
all
of
the money.
banks. I can't live with the crimes I have committed.
Goodbye, friends.
It is. Goodbye, friends.
So, wow.
That was the
We
cat
learned
lady.
some things today. We learned some things.
Cat Lady was alright. Yeah, it's. I've played a fuck ton worse for more money. Well,
Yeah.
I've played a fuck ton worse. You know, at least. I also one thing. At least it was memorable, and
Yeah.
there was plenty to talk about. It's not one of those experiences where you play it or you watch it and it's just miserable.
Mm.
And you
And
just,
I will check out his other games as well. I think.
yeah,
based
I'm
on
going to
that.
keep tabs on. Especially the new one comes out in April.
Maybe we can
Of
all have a
next
nice
year.
laugh at it if it's basically Silent Hill 3.
Well, Downfall's already out. I know that much.
Yeah.
But the Lorelei, however you pronounce it, it's probably
La, la, la.
someone. It's like, actually, Matt, I think you'll find out that a simple Google search, like, well, I'm not using Google, fuck you. Yeah, so that's out in April, and Downfall is already out, and I might give it a go because I will say one thing: the fact that we didn't really have a proper resolution with Joe Davis is I do want to see more of it.
Yeah,
Is that-
like he was like feeding his wife and she's super fat and it's like what
It's like I
the
want to see more of
fuck
that.
is happening here, you know?
But at the same time, it's like, why wasn't he one of the parasites?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty gruesome, right? That's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Like
no,
he would
no,
have been a
fly-
better parasite than Hammerflower, dude.
Yeah. But you know, maybe we'll find out in the other one, then Downfall. But you know, it made me
Maybe.
want to see more of the character, so that was cool. I was
I
interested.
really like Susan, honestly. I think Susan's pretty cool. Like there aren't a whole lot of mid-40s cat lady like assassins. So of
That's
them,
true.
she's number one.
That's true.
Make
And she
a
likes
mace
coffee.
out of things that you wouldn't typically make a mace out
Yeah,
of.
like she'd get on really well with Frank West and Chuck Green. So even though I think they'd be like no doll heads.
Come on. No doll heads while Frank West is wearing a Servbot head? I don't think so. He's like,
Hey, no, he just
"Nuh-uh,
said,
lady.
You wouldn't be able to understand what he was saying. She'd be like, more doll heads.
Like,
Go to
"Pound
Frankie,"
doll
she
heads
runs
on
off.
doll heads. She's like a doll head bow staff.
She doesn't have a bow and arrow made out of doll heads. I don't know how that would quite work. Even the string is made out of doll heads. She fires doll heads.
I think we can all agree in shouting towards the direction of Japan that Sakurai needs to include Susan. Susan joins the fight.
Hell,
Susan meows in? No, that's stupid.
If we can randomly get Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Negan in Tekken,
Jesus Christ, yeah. What the
then surely Susan. Like that. I'm still waiting to see that. They got any fucking. I want to see what he looks like. This is just like the strangest things. Like Negan, okay, cool. No, it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Negan.
Yeah, exactly. They got the celebrity and the character. They paid for both.
Like, it's just so weird. It's so fucking weird.
It is weird. Like they and I mean I was saying this earlier, like game companies are kind of in this weird fuzzy place right now where they don't know what will keep giving them the most money. So now it's like brands. They just purchase brands.
Throw memorable or iconic things at the wall.
Yeah, they threw Noctis from FF15 into Tekken, so he's in there now. And now you got Negan. You know, I mean, Smash Brothers has like it's fine. We all knew it was a massive
Soul
fighting
Calibur
game anyway,
have like The Witcher in it or something as well?
Yeah,
I've seen that, but I'm not
Geralt.
entirely sure it's not a player customization.
No, I think he's in it.
I thought there was some kind of deal for him to be in it.
Okay. So, because I've seen some crazy player customizations. I've seen a Voldo customization that when he leans back, you know, and goes on all fours, he looks like Magikarp doing the splash attack.
It's amazing. One of the best ones I've seen is
it's amazing.
Someone made one of the best ones I saw was someone made Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist.
That's cool.
She's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's just fun though. That's that's cool.
It's cool when they're just like, hey, here's a creative suite, make some creative characters, have some fun.
Right.
And you get shit ones, and you don't get people trolling that much. Like whenever they make a wrestling game, because you can download created wrestlers, and you just know they have a bot set up, so anytime someone made Chris Benoit, they had to go, no, get out of there. No, Chris Benoit for you. He murdered his family. No.
They do like to kind of acknowledge his existence by removing all trace of his existence.
Yeah. Makes watching his matches all kinds of awkward. You just have to really just focus on the person who's wrestling.
Okay.
It's like Chris Jericho. Oh yeah, he's great. He's fun child murderer.
Oh.
It's horrible because like he had like his matches are so fucking good as well, so you can't not watch him. I mean, I'll give him credit by the fact that they haven't like completely like taken him all out of the pay-per-views and all that on the WWE network. Like he's on there and his matches on there in full and like pay-per-views, but usually what you have like the time code. So you have like match for so and so versus so and so start here, and then you can skip to the finish of that match. And then you're like looking at the time code, like there's a huge chunk where there's no timestamps there. That's a Chris Benoit match. That's why. So they don't advertise him or anything like that. So that's why they get around it.
I have a vision.
This isn't a wrestling podcast.
No, I have a vision of kids in the future who get into wrestling and they go back and watch the old ones. They'll be like, "Who's this pixel man with the pixely face?"
That's
right.
That's vacant. They should do that because that'd be quite funny. But anyway,
it's catchphrase message redacted.
My God, how'd this guy get over?
Catchphrase.
But
it reminds me of Overwatch. Reinhardt's one of his voice lines is literally the words catchphrase. He goes, catchphrase. It's awesome.
So that's funny.
It's your choice,
Cat Lady. So my choice.
Oh right, another choice.
So I thought we'd go for a really long game, 5 playthroughs of Alien Isolation. I was trying to think of something, and it's not an out-and-out horror film, but I think there's enough elements in it, and it's horrifying enough, I think, to be dubbed as a horror thriller, psychological, whatever you want. I have picked 7. David Fincher's 7.
Okay, so
because I haven't seen it
something
in
we've all seen,
fucking
or
years.
I've
I've seen it. I've seen it.
several
And
times.
interesting?
I've seen it 7 times.
I haven't seen it in a long time, and Jesus fucking Christ, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I want an excuse to watch it.
I've only seen it twice, so I guess you'd call that a double Fincher. Quick, I'm flailing. Catchphrase. What's in the box? What's in the box?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I
So
haven't seen
yeah,
it in a long time. In a long time.
it's been a long time since I've seen it, and I thought it'd be a good pick. So yes,
I can
7.
fully see this as a horror movie, though.
Yeah.
I mean, not like a slasher flick exactly, but I mean, there's so much
it's
imagery in there.
dark
It's
thriller.
definitely in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fucking horrifying.
The
But,
thing I remember about that movie the most, actually, that I like the most, is the credit sequence. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think I was reading some of the David Fincher wanted it to look like it was written by a serial killer. He's like, it's got to look like a serial killer. Okay, Mr. Fincher.
I can't remember if that had 9 Inch Nails on it as well.
I just know
I
that I
will
don't like
Google that.
spaghetti when I watch that movie.
Don't eat spaghetti. Don't eat while watching that movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So I thought I'd pick 7 because it'd be a swell old time. It's a happy movie.
Yeah.
It is a 9 Inch Nails song on the
Is it closer?
opening music. Yes, it is.
What's it?
I knew that.
I knew that.
All right.
I don't know why I know that. It's been a long time since I watched it. I don't know why I know that. But yeah. So David Fincher's 7. Probably a film that saved his career after Alien 3.
Which is the one Alien movie I refuse to watch, and because of that, I'm not going to watch any of the rest of them either. Because Alien and Aliens were so good that Alien 3 doesn't need to exist.
Alien 3,
that's true.
I will readily admit, Alien and Aliens, Alien 3 is well below it. But
Yeah.
I think it has redeeming qualities.
If you watch the assembly cut, which is so much better than the theatrical cut,
And I haven't
So
even
much
watched that cut yet, and I already
It's
feel that
so
it's
much
got
better.
redeeming qualities. So.
it's really good. I really like the assembly cut. There's stuff in it that's really
7
good.
was
What's
before Fight Club, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, 7's before 8.
Fuck you!
And with that, bombshell, I don't know what voice I was doing there. Wasn't Jeremy Clarkson?
That's quick maths.
That is.
Chris doesn't know what quick maths is.
Nope.
Okay. After the podcast, I'll link you to a song, Chris, that will explain quick maths,
Okay.
and put it in the description below for you guys to enjoy while you watch 7. So,
Yeah. But don't watch them at the same time because you should.
well, you might get confused.
Yeah. Which one's the horror movie again? Spooky sound.
Well, until next time, both of you have had quite a lot of recent YouTube activity, haven't you? You actually have stuff to plug.
Yes, I do. I know. Do you want to go first,
No,
Chris?
you go
While
first.
my camera focuses itself
Yeah.
for no reason.
Who is
yes.
this person?
I keep
Surprise! Peekaboo!
No, I'm just like a character from the Cat Lady where it just keeps like focusing in and out.
Yeah.
That's what it's been all along, and I've just only now realised I could make that joke. Anyway,
It's never too late.
I recently released a new video, which was a very comical, I think, review of a very forgotten another Roger Corman movie that he produced, called Forbidden World, or as it's comically called in Germany, Mutant.
Yes.
Das Grauen in all.
We have discussed it on the podcast briefly before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
Because
brilliant.
I remember the catchphrase or the
Das
slogan.
Grauen im all. Yeah, so Forbidden World, as it's known,
how all
did a review of
Germans
that. No, all of them, they just shout all the time. Makes going to movies troublesome. But yeah, so I reviewed that and also took a look at its remake, because they remade it in the early 90s and it was called Dead Space, and I was like, I have to check this out because it's called Dead Space. But yeah, I worked really hard I worked really hard on the video of a movie that no one fucking remembers, but it made me laugh, so there you go. I watched it back and I laughed. But yeah, I released it, and I've got a few other things that I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to try and do some more stuff, some shorter videos as well. So I've got something that I can pop occasionally. So, yeah. Anyways, check
cool.
that out.
I'm still working on Hexen 2, and I'm also doing Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm not even sure how that's going to go because it's such a big damn game. But I have been thinking about just like casually releasing videos from that forever.
Yeah.
You know, because there would be a point where it's like there's just like 100 Red Dead Redemption 2 videos, but whatever, it's videos, you know, and it's all process, it's all practice, it's all that stuff. So,
well, I mean, what you could do as well is you can always release it sporadically, but you can still release other things in between it. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's easy for me to do because I'm using the PS4 entirely to record it. So I have the headset in. I'm using the SharePlay thing to upload it, and there's a function on the PS4 where you can actually it's called Share Factory. That's what it's called, where you can actually do video editing on a higher scale besides just trimming the video itself. You can actually like add new videos and add new music lines and add commentary and transitions and stuff, and it's actually really intuitive. But since it's all on the same console, everything's timed up correctly. I don't have to do any of that, like bringing an Audacity file over and all that stuff. And so it's mostly just a practice. And I know no one's going to watch it because, one, nobody watches this. Two, everyone else is doing Red Dead Redemption 2. So I don't really worry too much about, like, oh, is it the best possible quality? But it's good quality. The only thing it's missing is the headset with the PS4 isn't very good. So my microphone recording isn't as good as I'd like it to be. But I have a hard time finding a way around not recording TV sound as it is. So I could just pump all the audio into my ear and then use my microphone here, but then I have to use multiple systems and a separate editing file, and it's too much trouble.
Yeah, it complicates matters, yeah.
Yeah.
You
like
don't
for
want
Hexen
that.
2, I definitely want to do that because I care more about that game and all that stuff. But Red Dead Redemption 2, no.
I care very deeply about that game.
And
You
your
care
horse.
very deeply about your horse.
It will.
If
Thomas,
Plato
it will
could
end
jump
eventually.
out of the TV and be yours forever, you wouldn't play the game anymore. You would just enjoy Plato. Hey, buddy,
You never
how's
go
it
out
going?
anymore. It's like, shouldn't you be going to work? I'm spending time with Plato. Stop judging me. You like that character in The Godfather that was it Caligula? No, Caligula. I can't speak it. He made his horse like a member of Parliament or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's like he's Lieutenant Chappy Sticks, and it's like whatever you say, you fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I'm already imagining Tom being like, I'm spending time with Plato, and he's like rubbing the fur off of the horse at this point, just constantly rubbing it. Like
Horse
he's
is
got
long dead at
bald
this point.
spots. The horse
we did was just-
crying.
All we did was just keep
I
him
didn't know
locked
horses could
in
cry.
a room.
They
Like,
can.
All we did was keep him locked in the room, and you kept feeding him sugar cubes and nothing else, and just like scraping his skin off with.
I know
your
your
character in
was
Cat
sweet.
Lady.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pervert
I
it.
love my horse. No, really,
That's my horse.
We're going to finish talking here. I'm going
Yes.
to toddle off up to the bathroom for a wee, and then I'm going to go back in there, and I am going to play Red Dead Redemption until it's way past my bedtime.
I'm so glad you said that because I thought you were going in a completely different direction. Then I'm going to go into the toilet because Plato.
My love for my horse is pure.
Unlike South Park, where you open up a door to a stranger's house and you see a man fucking a horse.
As you do.
As you
Yeah.
do.
Oh, sorry.
And that's like the tamest. That's one of the most tame things you see in the game. He's wearing
Chris,
a fucking leather mask.
Have you played the Lenny mission yet?
No.
Lenny!
Matt, you've
Lenny
played the
mission.
Lenny mission.
Yes.
The one I'm talking about. There's only
Oh, Red Dead. Okay.
yeah. There's a Lenny mission where you get drunk with your friend Lenny at the saloon, and you can go upstairs and you can walk into a room, and I won't say anything else, but just do it. It's an interesting experience.
Lenny? Is that you, Lenny? Anyway, right. I need to dash off then. So,
Yes,
I need to wrap up because...
Well, yeah, and you know me. I've got a YouTube channel. There's nothing on it. There never will be anything on it. So
There
don't
will
worry
be.
about it.
Just
It's okay.
Play-
love
Plato to
videos
thank for
of you and Plato. Put like hearts and stuff on the video and
Get all the clicks.
You know what? That is something I can get motivated about. I can do that.
You should have like some kind of like clickbait title, like "Man loves horse."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have his balls resting here. I'm talking about the ball physics. Yeah.
Of course, yes.
I need to leave before I say anything more stupid.
The brain.
So
already gone.
Everyone's going to enjoy 7. We'll meet back here, and we'll talk about it.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks
Until
for
next
listening.
time. Take care.
See you later.
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlops. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.